From the worst cheating moments to the most emotional scenes in the MLB, these are the 11 things that you didn't know about baseball. And first, from using glue on your hands to changing up the baseballs, these are the times MLB players were caught cheating. First up, a pitcher who made an art of sneaking something slippery onto the ball. Gaylord Perry retired as one of the best pitchers in MLB history, a guy who could spin a baseball so well he earned a spot in the Hall of Fame. But did you know he achieved all that by cheating? Sounds wild, right? Perry didn't just throw pitches, he made the spitball his signature move. Even after MLB banned the pitch in 1920, Perry kept it alive for years, acting as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Spitting, greasing, whatever he could do to get an edge. He'd casually rub his hands on his jersey, sneak a little something slippery onto the ball, and boom, the batter never knew what hit him. Perry even joked, "They'll never catch the grease." He may have been caught a few times, but that didn't stop him from making it into the Hall of Fame, proving that sometimes even the sneakiest cheats can make history. But if you thought sneaking grease onto a baseball was bad, just wait a moment. Look at how the Houston Astros took it to a whole new level with their high-tech cheating scheme. Winning the World Series is the dream for every team, and in 2017, the Houston Astros seemed unstoppable. They were outplaying their opponents with precision and seemed to know what was coming on every pitch. Opposing teams struggled to find answers, with no one quite able to match the Astros' consistency and skill. But then, in 2019, a whistleblower revealed the shocking truth. The Astros had been using cameras to cheat. They'd installed a camera in center field, focused on the opposing team's catcher, sending live footage to the dugout. A player would then bang on a trash can to signal the batter. One bang for a fastball, no bang for a curveball. It was simple, sneaky, and unbelievably effective. Once the truth was out, fans and players were outraged. This wasn't just cheating. It was a betrayal that cut to the core of baseball's soul. The Astros were fined $5 million, lost their draft picks, and both their manager and GM were suspended. But the real punishment? Their 2017 World Series title will forever be tainted. While some teams used technology to cheat, another player became his team's best pitcher by using glue. In 2014, during a heated game between the Yankees and the Red Sox, Michael Pineda thought he could get away with a little pine tar on his neck. Seriously, on his neck. The sticky substance was supposed to help him get a better grip on the ball, but it wasn't long before the Red Sox noticed the dark, gooey smudge. Pineda's attempt at being sneaky completely backfired. Cameras zoomed in, the opposing team pointed it out, and the umpires weren't having it. Pineda was ejected from the game, and his neck stun earned him a 10-game suspension. It was like watching someone try to cheat on an open book test. Obvious and just plain careless, especially in a time where cameras capture everything. The pine tar incident became an embarrassing moment for Pineda, and a clear reminder that, in the age of HD cameras, trying to cheat is a high-risk, low-reward game. Sticky substances have been a problem for a while, but when a bat shatters and something strange falls out, things get a lot more interesting. Speaking of sneaky, Sammy Sosa's corked bat scandal had everyone wondering if this home run king had been hiding a little secret. In 2003, Sosa was at bat against the Tampa Bay Rays when he shattered his bat on a swing. As pieces of wood scattered across the field, something strange popped out: a cork. Corked bats give hitters an unfair advantage by making the bat lighter and easier to swing, and Sosa's busted bat sent shockwaves through the stadium. Fans were left wondering, was this a one-time mistake, or had he been using corked bats all along? To find out, the league tested 76 of his other bats. While those tests cleared him, the damage was done. Sosa was suspended for 7 games, and his reputation took a serious hit. But Sosa wasn't the only one getting his hands dirty, literally. Some internet gurus didn't need any equipment at all. They just needed a computer. Cheating in baseball usually happens on the field, but this next guy took things to a whole new level. In 2015, Chris Correa, the Cardinals scouting director, pulled off one of the most shocking scandals in baseball history. He didn't just cheat on the field. He hacked the Houston Astros' internal database. Correa gained access to confidential scouting reports, trade talks, and player data. This wasn't your typical cheating scandal. This was a full-on federal crime. The FBI got involved. and suddenly, baseball had its first hacking scandal. Correa wasn't just stealing signs, he was stealing entire strategies. The result? Nearly 4 years in prison and millions in fines for the Cardinals. Baseball fans were stunned, and the league was forced to handle one of the most unexpected scandals ever seen. Cheating doesn't always involve a bat, but it's always game-changing when you get caught. Not all scandals are this high-tech. Sometimes, it's as simple as this player accidentally bringing his phone into the game. Phones on the field? Yeah, that actually happened. In 2022, Rodolfo Castro slid into third base, and this is what came flying out of his pocket. His phone flew out of his back pocket and landed on the field for everyone to see. Fans couldn't believe it. Phones are banned from the field for obvious reasons: communication, distraction, or worst case scenario, potential cheating. Was it an innocent mistake? Castro claimed it was, but the league didn't buy it. The guy got slapped with a fine and a suspension. Everyone from the crowd to the umpires was in shock, and the whole incident became one of the most bizarre moments of the season. If you thought carrying a phone onto the field was weird, wait until you hear about the Mets manager who tried to sneak back into a game in disguise. After getting ejected from a game, most managers just leave the field. But this guy had other plans. In 1999, Mets manager Bobby Valentine was thrown out of a game for arguing with an umpire. But instead of heading to the locker room, he put on a fake mustache, sunglasses, and a completely new outfit. His goal? To keep coaching from the dugout without getting caught. At first, it seemed like a ridiculous joke, but cameras quickly zoomed in on the disguised figure. It didn't take long for everyone to realize it was the ejected manager trying to pull off one of the most absurd stunts in baseball. As fans were laughing, it didn't take long for the league to catch on, and he ended up with a $5,000 fine and a 2-game suspension. The guy thought he could pull off the stunt, but MLB wasn't having it. Managers in disguise might be funny, but it's nothing compared to another sticky situation that happened with Max Scherzer. In 2021, Scherzer's sticky substance drama had everyone talking. Scherzer, one of baseball's top pitchers, found himself in a sticky situation, pun intended. During a game in 2021, the umpire stopped play to check Scherzer's glove and hands, which were suspiciously sticky. Scherzer insisted it was just sweat and rosin, but the umps weren't buying it. Sticky substances help pitchers get a better grip and more control, which is why MLB had just started cracking down hard on it. Scherzer swore on his kids' lives that he wasn't cheating, but it didn't matter. He was ejected from the game and handed a 10-game suspension. Fans were split. Was he really guilty, or was this part of the league's stricter enforcement? While sticky substances have caused quite a stir, nothing compares to the chaos that erupted over a bat and some pine tar. From sneaky fans to sneaky pitchers, this is one of the biggest meltdowns in baseball history. George Brett's pine tar disaster. Brett hits what should have been a game-winning home run against the Yankees, but the Yankees weren't letting it go. They protested, claiming Brett had too much pine tar on his bat. Now, pine tar is legal, but only up to a certain point, and Brett, he went over the limit. The umpires measured the bat and confirmed the Yankees were right. Brett's home run was reversed and he was called out. What followed was pure chaos. Brett stormed out of the dugout, ready to fight anyone who stood in his way. His meltdown became an iconic moment, one of those scenes baseball fans talk about decades later. Eventually, the league reinstated his home run, but Brett's reaction is what everyone remembers. His bat may have been sticky, but his meltdown even stickier. From pine tar to something even sneakier. Do you think these incidents were shocking? We're just getting started. Let's head back to a time when technology was a bit different, but cheating was just as real. Not every cheating incident involves high-tech methods or dramatic meltdowns. Sometimes it's just about a little bit of sneaky handiwork. In 1987, veteran pitcher Joe Niekro tried to get an edge with nothing more than a nail file. That's right. During a game, Niekro was caught with the tool in his back pocket, which he used to scuff up the baseball, giving it unpredictable movement. When the umpires approached him, Niekro tried to casually toss the nail file away, hoping no one would notice. But it was too late. He was caught red-handed. The result? Niekro got ejected from the game and hit with a 10-game suspension. His attempt to be sly became one of the most infamous examples of a pitcher getting busted for doctoring the ball. Sneaky? Yeah. Yes. Successful? Not at all. Necro's nail file may have been low-tech, but the Giants took things to a whole new level. Their sign-stealing scheme was a high-stakes game-changer. Back in 1951, the New York Giants pulled off a sign-stealing operation that would go down in baseball history. They weren't just watching the game from the dugout. They had a telescope set up in the outfield, aimed straight at the opposing catcher. The Giants used the telescope to decode the catcher's signals, then relayed that information to their batter through a series of hand signals. It was a clever system, and it played a key role in their legendary comeback to win the National League pennant, including the unforgettable moment when Bobby Thompson hit the shot heard round the world. But even as fans celebrated that famous home run, whispers of the Giants' scene-stealing scheme spread. While this story has become part of baseball folklore, it still leaves a lingering question. Was their historic victory entirely clean, or did they cross the ethical line with their telescope trick? But what happens when these players not only cross the line on the field, but also betray the game's integrity off the field? While other players cheat to win, Pete Rose took it a step further by betting on the very games he was playing in. Back in 1989, the baseball world was rocked when it was revealed that Pete Rose, the all-time hits leader, had been betting on baseball games. And not just any games. He was betting on games involving his own team, both as a player and a manager for the Cincinnati Reds. The allegations were shocking. Fans and players alike couldn't believe that someone with Rose's talent and achievements would be caught up in something so scandalous. Rose's involvement in gambling led to his lifetime ban from the sport, a punishment that left a permanent stain on his otherwise legendary career. Even with his 4,256 hits, a record still untouched, Rose's betting scandal overshadows his accomplishments. He was excluded from the Hall of Fame, a controversial decision that still has fans divided today. Some argue his on-field success should be honored, while others believe he broke baseball's most sacred rule and got what he deserved. To this day, Pete Rose remains a baseball legend, but the betting scandal forever clouds his legacy. And while his stats will always stand, his reputation as a player and manager has been permanently damaged. Betting scandals may cause drama, but it's not as crazy as using drugs to cheat. And some players went even further. Just listen to Ken Caminiti and his steroid confession. In 1996, Ken Caminiti had an unforgettable season, winning National League MVP and leading the San Diego Padres to the playoffs. But his success didn't come without a dark side. A few years later, Caminiti admitted that he had been using steroids during his MVP season. His confession wasn't just a personal bombshell. It lifted the curtain on a much bigger issue in baseball: the widespread use of performance-enhancing drugs. Caminiti was blatantly honest about his steroid use, claiming that he wasn't the only one. He believed that 50% of the league was also juicing. The revelation left fans in shock and put the league under pressure to address the growing steroid problem. His admission fueled the start of stricter drug testing policies across the MLB, leading to some of the sport's biggest controversies in the years to come. While Ken Caminiti's legacy is forever tied to his steroid admission, his bold honesty helped push baseball into an era of reform. Unfortunately, his story also serves as a tragic cautionary tale. Caminiti passed away in 2004 with his body ravaged by years of drug and substance abuse. Performance-enhancing drugs may have been one way to cheat, but in baseball, even the equipment could be altered for an unfair advantage. Some players will do anything to win, but Albert Bell's corked bat scandal was more than just cheating. It was a full-blown heist. In 1994, during a game, Albert Bell's bat was confiscated by umpires who suspected it might be corked. But what happened next turned the whole scandal into one of baseball's weirdest moments. The Cleveland Indians, Bell's team, weren't about to sit back and let their star get caught. Look at how things got wild. One of Bell's teammates crawled through the ceiling tiles of the umpire's room, Mission Impossible style, to try and switch the bat with a legal one. But they got busted. And when the original bat was tested, it was confirmed corked. Bell got hit with a suspension, and the entire incident became a legend for how bizarre the cover-up attempt was. In the end, Bell didn't just get caught with a corked bat. He left fans and players scratching their heads over how far his team went to hide it. Using a corked bat is one thing, but what if you stepped up to the plate with a broomstick? This catcher found himself at the center of a bizarre controversy. During a game, Rick Dempsey was accused of using a broomstick disguised as a bat. That's right, a broomstick. It wasn't your typical cheating scandal, but it raised plenty of eyebrows. While MLB never officially punished him, fans and critics wondered how far players would go to get an advantage. Was it a joke gone too far, or was it a real attempt at cheating? We may never know, but the broomstick incident remains a quirky, head-scratching moment in baseball history. From broomsticks to PEDs, baseball saw its fair share of scandals, but Manny Ramirez's suspension was a wake-up call for the entire league. Manny Ramirez, one of the game's most entertaining and charismatic hitters, was suspended after testing positive for a banned substance. Fans were stunned. Manny was one of the biggest names in baseball, and this wasn't just a slap on the wrist. He got hit with a 50-game suspension, and his once legendary career took a serious nosedive. The suspension was part of MLB's ongoing crackdown on PED use, and Manny's positive test put him at the center of the controversy. The incident sparked even more debate over just how deep performance-enhancing drugs ran in baseball during that era. Manny's reputation took a hit, and for many, his place in baseball history became tainted. Though Manny Ramirez eventually returned to the field, his suspension marked a turning point in the league's fight against PEDs. While Manny's career suffered, some players found themselves caught up in multiple controversies that effectively ended their time in the spotlight. Getting caught once is bad, but Hector Santiago somehow managed to get busted twice, and guess what it cost him? His career. In 2021, Hector Santiago got busted for violating MLB's new sticky substance rule. Umpires checked his glove and found something sticky, leading to a 10-game suspension. But that wasn't the end for Santiago. As soon as his suspension was over, he got hit with a bigger problem, a failed drug test for steroids. That second violation earned him an 80-game suspension, effectively ending his career. Santiago went from pitching in the big leagues to being a poster boy for MLB's crackdown on cheating. Sticky gloves were one thing, but steroids? That was the final nail in the coffin of his career. But if you thought Santiago's fall was dramatic, it's nothing compared to the scandal that engulfed one of baseball's biggest names. The 1919 Black Sox scandal, the moment when baseball's integrity was sold for cold, hard cash. 8 players from the Chicago White Sox, including shoeless Joe Jackson, were accused of throwing the World Series in exchange for money from gamblers. This was baseball's darkest moment. Fans were in disbelief. The idea that their heroes would lose on purpose for money was shocking. An investigation began, and the players' involvement became undeniable. All 8 players were banned from baseball for life, and shoeless Joe Jackson's legacy was tarnished forever. The Black Sox scandal became a cautionary tale of how greed can destroy even the biggest stars. But it wouldn't be the last time a team used dirty tactics to win. Remember, the Houston Astros took it to a whole new level with their high-tech cheating scheme and showed how far some would go for victory. But in recent years, one team took things even further. Aaron Judge is one of the most feared hitters in baseball, and just last year, his reputation took a hit when he was accused of stealing signs. During a Yankees game, Judge was caught glancing toward the dugout just before a pitch was thrown, raising eyebrows and sparking speculation. Moments later, he hit a massive home run, causing fans and commentators to question whether he had received a heads-up about the incoming pitch. While there was no concrete evidence to prove wrongdoing, the controversy lingered, adding a layer of intrigue to Judge's already impressive career. While sign stealing has always been a hot topic, not every cheating incident involves something as subtle as a glance toward the dugout. Albert Bell's corked bat was bad enough, but remember that I told you someone actually tried to steal it back from the umpires? When Bell's bat was confiscated for being corked, the Cleveland Indians weren't about to just let it slide. Look at Bell's teammate Jason Grimsley, who took matters into his own hands. In a scene that felt more like a spy movie than a baseball game, Grimsley actually crawled through the ceiling tiles of the umpire's office. What was the plan? Switch the corked bat for a regular one before anyone notices. But just like in the movie, the heist didn't go as planned. The umpires quickly realized something was up, and Grimsley's covert mission was busted. The bat was tested and confirmed to be corked, and Bell faced the consequences. And this became one of the wildest cheating moments in MLB history. And his failed mission wasn't just a ridiculous attempt at cheating. It made Bell's corked bat scandal even more unforgettable. Bizarre incidents like this show how far players are willing to go to gain an edge. However, while some players sneak around trying to hide their cheating, sometimes fans are the ones stirring up the chaos. Some fans can be just as sneaky, like this one, who decided to use a laser pointer to mess with a player. In one of the most bizarre moments during a Mets game, a fan pulled out a laser pointer and aimed it right at the Dodgers bat. The green beam flickered across the batter's face, causing confusion on both sides. chaos. Players didn't know what was happening, and the umpires had to stop the game to figure it out. But in all the chaos, who was the fan who started it? He vanished into the crowd. The game eventually continued, but that interference left both teams shaken. It might have been a clever trick by the fan, but it definitely didn't go unnoticed. No one ever found the guy, and it was one of those moments that left a sour taste. From one of MLB's biggest fans to an unexpected scandal, even Little League isn't safe from controversy. A decade ago, a team from Chicago, known as Jackie Robinson West, took the Little League World Series by storm, winning the U.S. Championship and becoming local heroes. But their victory didn't last long. Soon after the celebration, it came out that the team had used ineligible players, recruiting kids from outside their district. The news hit hard, not just for the Little League community, but for baseball fans everywhere. Here was a team of young kids, and their victory was stripped away because of dishonest recruiting tactics. The league moved quickly, revoking their title and leaving a sour taste in what should have been an innocent competition. The scandal served as a stark reminder that cheating can happen at any level of the game, even among kids. It wasn't just a lesson for the players, but for coaches and leagues everywhere. But as we've seen, cheating only gets bigger as the stakes rise, especially when the cheating engulfs one of baseball's biggest names, Barry Bonds, the man who holds the home run record, but with a legacy forever stained by the word steroid. In the 2000s, Bonds went from a great player to superhuman, crushing an unbelievable 73 home runs in a single season. But with his new superhuman stat came whispers and accusations of steroid use. Fans and players alike started questioning whether Bonds' record-breaking performances were really due to his talent or something else. Things took a turn when Bonds was indicted for lying to a grand jury about his steroid use. This led to legal battles, a felony conviction, and his exclusion from the Hall of Fame, despite holding the home run record. Bonds might have been a home run king, but to many, his achievements are forever tainted. Steroids, corked bats, and sticky substances might be crazy, but they are nothing compared to a player who launched himself into the air, front flipped over a catcher to score the perfect run. From players flipping over catchers to fans throwing pizza in the stands, these are one in a million MLB moments. At first, look at this player running towards home plate, adrenaline pumping, the crowd screaming, and then it hits him. There's no way he's making it. The catcher's locked in, ready to tag him out, and the plate's just out of reach. But instead of giving up, he does the unthinkable, a front flip. Yeah, he launches himself into the air, flips over the catcher, and lands perfectly on home plate. The stadium exploded with disbelief. And this kind of play, you watch 100 times, but it still doesn't feel real. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Bartolo Colon made the craziest throw in MLB history. Bartolo Colon wasn't just pitching, he was putting on a masterclass in style. This batter hits a sharp grounder back to the mound, and Bartolo reacts instantly. But instead of a normal play, my guy was like, nah. With zero hesitation, he whips the ball behind his back, hitting his target perfectly. The crowd was shaking, jaws on the floor. Oh, wow. It's so easy for Colon right now that he's able to put some mustard on it. Now, every baseball fan dreams of a jaw-dropping home run, but this next moment, it's straight out of a comic book. The batter steps up, locks in, and unloads on the pitch. The swing is so powerful that the baseball doesn't just fly, it literally falls apart mid-air. The cover's peeling off, leather flapping in the wind, and everyone on the field is standing there like, yo, did he just break the ball? It's a one in a million moment. He didn't just hit it out of the park, he hit it out of its own skin. But sometimes, it's the outfielders that cause these crazy moments, because this next play is absolutely insane. Look at this high fly ball headed for right field. The outfielder sprinting back, locked in, tracking it perfectly. He hits the warning track, stretches out his glove, and crash! The dude straight up goes through the fence, breaking it down. But here's the kicker, the ball's still in his glove. He makes the catch while turning the fence into rubble. His teammates are crying with laughter. And the commentators? Did he just break the wall? Forget the Hulk, baseball's got its own wrecking crew. Now let's talk about what happened in Detroit. because this might be the craziest moment yet. Watch this batter standing at the plate, focused, ready to crush the next pitch. And then, boom! Thunder claps so loud, it feels as if the heavens just split open. The noise is loud, and the batter, he is leaping out of his cleats like he's seen a ghost. The crowd's laughing, and the batter's trying to play it cool, but you can tell he's discouraged. Even the players on the field are joking, pointing towards the sky. It's baseball meets nature, and nature just stole the show. But the chaos doesn't stop there. This moment isn't just rare, it's downright impossible. The stadium is packed, and the bases are loaded. The batter steps up. You can feel the tension in the air. The pitcher winds up, throws, and boom! The crack of the bat sends the ball flying over the wall. A grand slam! The crowd's going wild, acting like they've already won the World Series. But hold up, the same inning, the same batter, the same loaded bases. He steps up again, and guess what? Crack! The ball disappears into the stands. 2 grand slams in 1 inning by the same player. But as the fans are losing their minds, the dugout's losing it even more. And history is being made right before their eyes. This isn't just a game, this is a legend in the making. Some fans decided to get in on the action too. This dude is on the front row, looking like he spends every minute in the gym. Biceps bigger than baseballs. The cameras pan to him, and he's trying to open a water bottle. Seems simple, right? Wrong. He twists, he grunts, he even switches hands, but that bottle is not budging. The crowd catches on, and now everyone's watching as he struggles, his face turning redder than the team's jerseys. Someone shouts, "Need a hand, bro?" The whole stadium starts laughing. You've got muscles for days, but a water bottle takes you down? Come on, man. Those must be SpongeBob muscles. But if you thought that was funny, wait until you see what the mascot pulls off next. Mascots are supposed to entertain, but this one took things to a whole new level. Watch as the Phillies mascot grabs a hot dog cannon and starts launching hot dogs into the crowd. The Philly fanatic just straight up unloads with those glizzies. I bet you won't see that again. Now this next clip might make your skin crawl. Bees in baseball? Not a combo anyone expected. During a game, the camera crew notices something weird. A full-on swarm of bees has taken over one of their cameras. The screen's buzzing with chaos. Literally. The commentators are cracking up, trying to keep it together as the broadcast turns into a nature doc. But it doesn't stop there. In this other game, the bees decided to crash the field entirely. Players are scattering, fans are covering their drinks, and the ump's out here waving his arms like he's conducting a bee orchestra. The game gets delayed while they bring in a beekeeper to sort it out. Forget rally caps. Someone needs to get a bee suit. But Paul O'Neill's about to show us something that'll never be done again, because Paul is known for his glove. But this play, it's all about his feet. The ball gets away from him, rolling towards first base. Most players would panic, but not Paul. Channeling his inner soccer star, he winds up and kicks the ball straight to Todd Benzinger at first base. The timing is perfect, the out is made, and the crowd is absolutely loving it. I don't believe it. He kicked the ball to Todd Benzinger. The all-time best play I may have ever seen. This man's out here playing kickball in the MLB. Speaking of unbelievable plays, Aaron Judge got this one. A line drive rockets toward the corner, and Judge is on the move. He's sprinting, eyes locked on the ball. But there's one problem. The wall's in his way. Most players would stop, not Judge. He dives, glove outstretched, and crash! Smashes straight through the outfield wall. The ball's in his glove. The catch is made, but the wall completely destroyed. Fans are stunned. Teammates are in awe, and Judge just brushes it off. But how the hell did he break a wall? Man, that guy is strong. This next player pulls off a no-look glove flip that'd make a magician jealous. The ball's bouncing around the place, chaos everywhere. Then, out of nowhere, the fielder catches it without even looking, flips it behind his back to start a double play. The throw is perfect and right on target. Even his teammates are standing there in doubt and putting their hands on their heads like, did that just happen? The crowd bursts, and this player, calm as ever. No-look passes are one thing, but no-look double plays? That's a whole new level of swagger. Sometimes it's the fans who steal the spotlight. Check out this. This batter swings hard, loses his grip, and suddenly the bat's spinning through the air like a helicopter rotor, heading straight for the stands. The crowd gasps, ducking for cover, but one fan, he's not running. No, this guy channels his inner Spider-Man. He calmly stretches out his hand and snatches the bat mid-flight like it's the easiest thing in the world. For a second, the stadium is stunned, just silent in disbelief. Then comes the explosion of cheers. Everyone's pointing at this guy, and even the players are clapping. Forget catching foul balls. This dude just caught a weapon in midair. Talk about cat-like reflexes. Now we're gonna talk about sliding catches that'll make your jaw drop. But gloves? Who needs those when you've got skills like this player? The ball projectiles toward the outfielder, and this player takes off at full speed, diving like he's Superman chasing a villain. Except he's not holding a glove. This is all barehanded. He slides across the dirt, his body parallel to the ground, dust flying in every direction. And just as the ball's about to hit the ground, he stretches out his bare hand and catches it. It's pure magic. The crowd screaming, his teammates are frozen, and even the announcers can't believe it. How did he just do that? This is a 1 in a million moment that you will want to replay until your screen starts fading. But sometimes, the fans don't just watch the game, they become part of it. Like this guy and his popcorn bucket. A ball's flying toward the stands, a fielder races over, glove ready for the catch, and then, splat! Popcorn explodes everywhere, and the ball bounces off a fan's snack. The fielder stands there, covered in popcorn kernels, looking more confused than a chicken in a math class. The crowd's roaring with laughter, and the fan? He's holding his popcorn bucket, proud of his accidental assist. Baseball has its fair share of quirky moments, but this one, it's straight up hilarious. Check this out. A player shows up wearing a fake mustache. He swaggers onto the field with this 70s detective vibe. For a moment, everyone's squinting, trying to figure out what's going on. The umpires are scratching their heads, and then, boom, it's revealed. Ronnie Cedeno's under that mustache. And that mustache is drawn on so good, I think it looks pretty legit. Now here's something you don't see every day. This batter hits a grounder, the outfielder rushes to field it, and then, poof, the ball vanishes. Everyone's looking around in confusion until someone notices the ball lodged perfectly inside the fence. How did that even happen? The fielders are staring at it and everyone is laughing. And just when you thought you've seen everything, this player pulls off a kick save that'd make a soccer goalie proud. The ball's heading straight for trouble, a wild bounce off the infield dirt, and out of nowhere, he sticks out his foot, redirecting it perfectly. The crowd gasps, the announcers are shouting, and the player's teammates, they're all cracking up. It's not every day you see someone pull off a save like that. Forget golden gloves. This man deserves a golden boot. The same can't be said for this silly moment. This player dives to make a defensive play, sliding across the dirt with all the intensity of a professional, until suddenly his pants betray him. Yup, mid-slide, his uniform takes a hike, leaving the poor guy mooning the entire stadium. The ball's in his glove, the play's complete, but no one can focus on that because they're too busy laughing. The fans are losing it, the commentators are barely holding it together, and the player? He just grins and pulls up his pants like it's no big deal. Now look at this outfielder who made a throw so perfect it's basically a bullseye. He's way out in the outfield, the runner thinking he's got a sure hit, and boom! He launches the ball with such precision, it's like he's got a laser guidance system. The ball lands perfectly in the glove, and the runner's out by a mile. Now all of this won't make sense without the fans. And this hot dog dad is proof. They are the real MVPs. Watch this man holding a baby in one arm and a hot dog in the other, and somehow he still manages to make a 1 in a million catch. The ball's screaming toward him and everyone's waving, but this guy just stretches out his free hand and catches it like a pro. Multitasking level extreme. Somebody get this man a contract. Most players aren't just creative with their gloves. Sometimes they use whatever they've got. This catcher decides to ditch his glove and use his mask instead. The ball's flying toward home plate, and in the heat of the moment, this catcher pulls off his mask and catches the ball with it. And the announcer's yelling, "I don't think I've ever seen that before." The announcer needs to watch this player with a ball stuck in his glove. Most players would shake it out, but not this guy. He just walks up and tags the runner with the entire glove. Baseball's got plenty of tricks, but this one might be the most unexpected. But hold up, fans aren't just here to watch, they're here to experience. This next moment, some fan decides to mimic a player's entire stretching routine. The San Diego Padres love Yu Darvish more than anyone, so much that one time they followed this man's every move and copied him. They were mimicking Yu Darvish. Yu had no idea as they made their way out there. A couple of times he went to his hat and put his hands in the pockets. They did everything Yu did. That's great. A grown man turning around and finding out that a kid is playing a game they love right behind him. But baseball isn't all fun and games, because right before a pitch, something impossible happens. An arena worker accidentally set off a sound effect and ruined an entire play. Well, boys in the audio room, yep, that's on you. It happens, man, but that had me shaken. And if you thought that was unexpected, watch this. During the most solemn moment of the game, the national anthem, a bald eagle gets loose and tries to land on a player's head. A very solemn moment and an uncooperative bald eagle, but we're ready to play baseball nonetheless. An eagle just casually decided to make a player its nest. You can't make this stuff up. Baseball is full of unforgettable moments, from watching players pull off acrobatic plays to fans stealing the spotlight in ways you'd never expect. These moments remind us why we love the game. It's unpredictable, it's wild, and it's packed with stories you just can't make up. While these moments might be heartwarming, not everything in baseball is cheerful. Like when a player's life was traumatized by the fans who were supposed to adore him. From a terrifying gunshot to a life-or-death surgery, these MLB players almost died. First, let's take a look at Wilson Ramos, a rising star in baseball at the catcher position for the Washington Nationals. He went home to Venezuela to spend time with his family. What started as a peaceful evening quickly turned into a nightmare that shook the entire country. Ramos was relaxing at home, surrounded by his loved ones, when 4 armed men burst in without warning. The attackers forced him into a vehicle at gunpoint and disappeared into the night. His family was left in shock, scrambling to process what had just happened. Authorities launched an immediate search, but for hours there were no answers, no demands, no leads, just silence. As time dragged on, fear took hold. Days passed, and the search grew more desperate. Police followed every lead, hoping for a breakthrough. Over 35 miles away, they found a car tied to the kidnappers, but the discovery offered no clear path forward. Just as hope began to dim, an anonymous tip came in, revealing Ramos was being held in a remote farmhouse guarded by armed criminals. The situation was intense. Rescuing him meant facing heavily armed kidnappers prepared to fight back. For fans, the wait was unbearable. Outside the stadium, vigils were held and candles flickered as if he was already dead. But the police weren't going down without a fight. After meticulous planning, they prepared for a raid that left no room for error. As the raid began, chaos erupted. Gunfire filled the air as officers stormed the farmhouse. Hundreds of rounds were exchanged in a tense standoff. Inside, Ramos sat powerless, caught in the middle of a battle for his life. After what felt like an eternity, the kidnappers surrendered. 6 men were arrested, and Ramos was finally freed. He was alive, physically unharmed, but deeply shaken. The relief was overwhelming. Ramos later said, "I'm very happy to be with my mom again. I'm safe now, but that was a hard time for me." For 2 days, he lived in constant fear, unsure if he would ever see his family again. His safe return was more than a personal victory. It became a symbol of hope and resilience for everyone who followed the story. What could have ended in tragedy became a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the unyielding determination to bring loved ones home. Man, Ramos was lucky he survived without being hit by a bullet. However, this next player wasn't quite as lucky. David Ortiz. Lovingly known as Big Papi, Ortiz was more than just a baseball star. He was a hero to millions. But on the fateful night of June 9th, 2019, Ortiz became the target of a calculated attack. It happened in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Ortiz had returned to relax and reconnect with his hometown, unaware that jealousy and envy were brewing in the shadows. Cesar Peralta, a powerful and notorious criminal, had set his sights on Ortiz. Driven by bitterness, Peralta orchestrated a deadly plan, putting a bounty of $1 million on Ortiz's life and recruiting a group of hitmen to carry it out. That night, Ortiz was at a nightclub, surrounded by familiar faces. Meanwhile, the hitmen prepared, watching his every move. With a car and a getaway bike at the ready, they circled the area. After watching and waiting long enough to ensure their success, one of the men walked straight up to Ortiz, and then a single gunshot rang out. The bullet tore through Ortiz's back, the sudden impact sending chaos spreading throughout the nightclub. Ortiz collapsed, his life slipping away with every passing second. His onlookers screamed and rushed to help. The former Red Sox star could only muster a desperate plea. His condition was dire. He was rushed to the hospital, his body fighting to stay alive. The damage could have been fatal. Doctors worked urgently, performing a complex, life-saving surgery that removed parts of his intestine, bladder, and liver. And he said to a nearby doctor, "Please don't let me die." Meanwhile, the world watched in disbelief. For his loved ones, the hours felt eternal. "When I saw him," one friend recounted, "he couldn't speak. He had tubes in his mouth. He was struggling to survive." Ortiz, the larger-than-life hero, was now fighting for his own life. But Ortiz wasn't ready to give up. Through determination and the skill of his medical team, he defied the odds. Slowly, he recovered, his body battered, but his spirit unbroken. Justice came quickly. Police launched a massive investigation, arresting 9 suspects and recovering the weapon used in the attack. Peralta's plan to take down Ortiz had failed. Months later, Ortiz returned to the place that had always felt like home, the baseball field. At Fenway Park, fans gathered for an emotional ceremony, celebrating their hero's recovery. As Ortiz stepped onto the mound to throw the first pitch, cheers echoed across the stadium, a powerful reminder of his resilience. "I really appreciate it," Ortiz said, his voice heavy with gratitude. "Thank you very much." From the hiring of gunmen to the unpredictability of nature, danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it strikes when you least expect it, like a calm day at the beach for Chad Rogers. He was on the point of his big break. After years of playing with the minor leagues, he finally got the call every player dreams of. A shot at the big leagues with the Cincinnati Reds, along with a $500,000 signing bonus and his MLB debut just days away. Life couldn't have been sweeter. It was his moment. To celebrate, Chad headed to Galveston, Texas for a beach day with friends. The plan was simple: surf, relax, and drink in the excitement of what was coming. But as he paddled out on his board, he waited for the next wave, the sun shining off the water. Then, without warning, it happened. A sharp, searing pain shot through his foot. A shark had struck, its powerful jaws biting down before releasing him into the chaos. Chad's friends sprang into action, rushing him to the hospital as he bled profusely. His foot was in shreds, requiring 60 stitches to repair. The doctors worked quickly to save it, but for Chad, the damage was more than physical. As he lay in the hospital bed, one thought consumed him: his baseball career. The injury meant he would have to call the Reds, the team that had just placed their trust in him, and tell them he wouldn't be pitching the next day, or ever. Making the call was hurtful. "I had to be blunt," Chad later recounted. "I called and said, 'I've got to tell you something. I can't make the tryout tomorrow. I got bit by a shark.'" On the other end of the line was disbelief, but the reality was unavoidable. Chad's MLB dream had ended before it had even begun. Despite the heartbreak, Chad didn't let the injury define him. His determination to face life's curveballs head-on shows courage in the face of the unimaginable. But not all enemies are visible. For this player, the battle was against the invisible, a deadly virus that brought him to his knees. It all started one early Tuesday morning when Freddie Freeman woke up feeling terrible. His body ached, and a relentless heat released from his skin. Alarmed, he called his trainers, who quickly arranged a COVID-19 test. The results came in, and they were positive. What followed was a terrifying downward spiral. Freddie's condition worsened quickly. That made him isolate himself from one side of his house, but the symptoms wouldn't let up. His fever hit 104.5 degrees Fahrenheit, dangerously high, the kind of temperature that can cause seizures or even brain damage. "I've never felt this sick before," he admitted as he lay in bed, unable to fight back against the virus, destroying his body. Fear filled him as he wondered about his future. Would he ever get to hold his family again? Would he ever step back onto the baseball field, the place he loved most? For weeks, Freddie could only pray. "I've got a young family. I've got 2 more boys on the way," he pleaded. "Please, don't take me. I'm not ready." His temperature rose dangerously close to critical levels, and there was nothing he could do except lie there and hope for a miracle. Then, slowly, the fever began to drop, the systems faded, and Freddie started to recover. Appearing from the trial, he knew his life had been changed forever. He didn't believe his survival was random. He called it divine intervention. Grateful for a second chance, Freddie Freeman made a promise to himself. He would never take life or baseball for granted again. When he returned to the field that season, Freddie played with the fire in his heart. He gave everything he had to the game, pouring in his energy and determination. That resilience paid off in the most spectacular way. Freddie Freeman not only came back, but he crushed it. The very same season, he won his first MVP. However, for Shohei Ohtani, survival meant enduring one of the most catastrophic disasters in modern history. This event reshaped his life and dreams forever. Ohtani is known today as one of the greatest stars in baseball, but his journey to MLB greatness was nearly destroyed. In 2011, northern Japan, where Ohtani lived, faced a magnitude 9.0 earthquake, one of the strongest ever recorded. The quake released a tsunami with waves over 100 feet high, surging 6 miles inland and wiping out everything in its path. Entire towns were destroyed, buildings were crushed, and thousands of lives were lost in minutes. Ohtani, still a child, saw his world collapse as his community was swept away. But the disaster didn't end there. The tsunami hit a nuclear power plant, triggering an even more catastrophic explosion that released radioactive chemicals into the air and water. Radiation poisoned the surrounding environment, forcing families to evacuate. Shohei Ohtani's family was among the 500,000 displaced, as the area was declared uninhabitable. Over 20,000 people lost their lives, and the financial cost of the disaster reached $235 billion, making it the most expensive natural disaster in history. Ohtani's hometown of Iwate was left in ruins. The streets he once knew were abandoned, and his childhood memories were buried under grief and destruction. But from this tragedy, Ohtani found a new purpose. He pushed forward, using the loss as fuel to pursue his dream with unmatched determination. Years later, as an MLB star, Ohtani looked back on the disaster that shaped him. On the 10th anniversary of the tragedy, he spoke with deep emotion about the resilience of his hometown and the people who supported him. No matter how many years pass, the feelings do not change, he said. I will never forget Iwate or the people who believed in me. Knowing they watch me play and take strength from my success gives me the drive to keep giving my best. The disaster of 2011 stole so much from Ohtani's life, but for Johnny Gomes, survival wasn't about facing one catastrophic event. It was a lifetime of cheating death. Johnny Gomes' life wasn't just about making it to the MLB. It was about death coming for him not once, not twice, but over and over again. Each encounter left scars that ran deeper than the last. Yet through every terrifying moment, Johnny fought back. His first close call came early. At just 12 years old, Johnny was attacked by a neighbor's pet wolf. The animal lunged at him, jaws snapping, but Johnny managed to escape with minor injuries that left him shaken and scared. He survived, but the memory of that day never left him. 3 years later, danger found him again. While camping, a stray flame from a candle set his sleeping bag on fire. Flames spread quickly, and Johnny barely escaped in time. It was another narrow miss, but his relief wasn't able to last long. The following year, at 16, Johnny and his best friend were driving along a road ironically named Roller Coaster Road, and they were involved in a car accident. Again, Johnny survived, but his best friend's life was lost, and this loss weighed heavily on him, becoming a shadow that followed him into adulthood. As if these experiences weren't enough, Johnny faced even more life-threatening events. During a high school camping trip, chaos erupted when a group of armed men appeared out of nowhere, opening fire in the darkness as Johnny and his friends ran for safety. Miraculously, none of the bullets hit them, but before he could process the terror, Johnny faced yet another life-threatening encounter. A man pointed a gun directly at him. Fortunately, the attacker was stopped before pulling the trigger, and he got arrested. After all of that, the scariest moment of all came when he was just 22 years old. Out of nowhere, Johnny suffered a heart attack. For a young athlete with his entire future ahead of him, it had a devastating impact. Doctors acted quickly. Again, Johnny fought the chances and survived. Johnny is a champion of death. His life is filled with one close call after another. But for this next guy, It wasn't something he could see coming. It struck without any warning. It was April 2018, and the Chicago White Sox were in the middle of a game against the Houston Astros. In the 6th inning, the energy in the stadium turned from excitement to shock. In the dugout, reliever Danny Farquhar suddenly collapsed. Teammates called out to him, but he didn't respond. Confusion burst as paramedics rushed in, and the crowd watched in silence, unsure of what had just happened. Danny was quickly taken to the hospital, where the truth of his condition became clear: a ruptured brain aneurysm. The bleeding was severe, and his life was hanging by a thread. For his wife, Liz, the news was crushing. A ruptured aneurysm has a survival rate of less than 50%, and those who make it often face life-altering damage. As Danny was wheeled into a 4-hour emergency surgery, Liz prepared herself for the worst. Meanwhile, his teammates struggled to process the sudden and terrifying turn of events. For those who had just been sitting beside him moments earlier, it felt unreal. The game continued, but the focus was gone. The surgery ended without much hope. Doctors managed to stabilize him, but his condition was critical. Danny spent more than 2 weeks in the ICU, surrounded by machines and fighting for his life. His family stayed by his side, refusing to give up. Slowly, Danny began to recover. 2 months later, he left the hospital, a moment that felt miraculous. But Danny wasn't ready to stop there. He wasn't just focused on surviving. He was determined to reclaim his career. A year after his aneurysm, on the anniversary of the incident, Danny made his triumphant return to the mound. As he stepped up to pitch, the crowd screamed into cheers that filled the stadium. It wasn't just a game. It was a victory over everything he had endured. This was more than survival. It's a testament to resilience, determination, and the power of tireless support from family and teammates. From the ICU to the pitcher's mound, hope and courage can lead to extraordinary comebacks. But sometimes, the danger isn't sudden. It's the choices that we make that lead us there. One of baseball's brightest stars found himself on the brink of losing everything during an offseason meant for training and family time. Fernando Tatis Jr. made a risky decision that he kept hidden. He bought a motorcycle, an exciting escape from routine, but one loaded with danger. He rode recklessly, ignoring the risks, until one day, while speeding, Tatis lost control and crashed. His body was covered in scrapes. His wrist suffered a terrible break that required surgery. Doctors informed him that he would miss 3 months of baseball. Someone of his caliber, this was a career setback he couldn't afford. As the news broke, the media crowded, questioning why a star player would risk everything for a motorcycle ride. But what Tatis said next left everyone amazed. When asked about the accident, he paused briefly before casually admitting which one. The revelation hit like a fastball. This wasn't his first crash. Tatis had already been in another motorcycle accident, an earlier incident he had kept under wraps. That crash left his wrist so damaged that every swing of the bat caused pain. The backlash came quickly. Talk shows lit up with criticism over his careless choices, with questions stirring about whether he had learned anything. His manager, forced to address the controversy, stated, "I believe those days are over." But Tatis's wrist issues continued to affect his performance on the field, leaving fans frustrated and questioning his decision-making. Adding to the drama, the Padres ran ads for motorcycle accident lawyers during his at-bats, a not-so-subtle reminder of the choices that had jeopardized his career. For Tatis, the crashes were more than just near-death experiences. They were a wake-up call. His story serves as a reminder that even the most promising futures can be derailed by wrong decisions. While Tatis faced the consequences of his risks, Pete Alonso's life was turned upside down by something completely out of his control. Pete Alonso started his day like any other, driving to training on a familiar route he had traveled countless times. But in an instant, everything went wrong. A reckless driver ran a red light and slammed into Alonso's truck with brutal force. His vehicle flipped once, then twice, and then a third time before finally coming to a crushed stop. The sound of metal crunching and glass shattering filled the air, and his truck was left unrecognizable. Onlookers rushed to the scene, preparing for the worst. Surviving such a crash seemed impossible, but Alonso defied the probabilities. He appeared alive, shocked, but unharmed. "I'm extremely lucky," he later said. The car flipped about 3 times. Though Alonso escaped serious physical injuries, the emotional toll was heavy. The crash replayed in his mind over and over, the jarring impact, the helplessness as his truck tumbled out of control, and the thought of how close he had come to losing everything. It wasn't just his career that had been at risk, it was his life. The aftermath wasn't easy. Driving, something so routine before, now carried an undercurrent of fear. Highways became a source of anxiety, a reminder of how quickly everything can change. But instead of being consumed by the trauma, Alonso focused on the gift he had been given, a second chance. "I'm just so happy to be here," he said. "Every day is a gift." These players getting second chances from near-death experiences, but despite Alonso narrowly escaping the highway with his life, CJ Wilson still has love for the fast lane. Bro splashed millions to buy the Widowmaker, and he's not alone. You have to see the stupidly expensive things MLB players own. From the rarest hypercars ever made to owning a customized Gulfstream private jet, these are stupidly expensive things MLB players own. And we gotta start with CJ Wilson. CJ Wilson wasn't trying to roll in anything basic. This guy leveled up with one of the rarest, fastest cars ever made, the McLaren P1. Dude's already known for having a taste for luxury, but this time, he went all in. See, the McLaren P1 is so wild that it has an insane futuristic design, a hybrid engine, and a chameleon wrap that changes colors depending on the light. Blue, orange, and purple. This thing looks like a shape-shifting alien on wheels. And if a color-changing car wasn't flashy enough, CJ added on gold rims, turning his whip into a straight-up rolling piece of art. Get this, there are only 375 of these hypercars in existence. Yeah, this isn't something you see at your local car meet. And when CJ was done customizing it, the total cost my guy dropped for this ride hit $2 million. Man, this is speed, flex, and exclusivity all wrapped up into one ridiculous ride. So CJ Wilson spent $2 million on a car. But Mike Trout, this guy took it to another level, dropping even more cash on a mansion that's as legendary as his career. Mike Trout, baseball's highest paid legend, didn't hold back when looking for the perfect home. His estate in Newport Beach, California is just 20 miles from Angel Stadium, perfect for a guy who's built his career breaking records. The best part? This mansion offers a beautiful view of the Pacific Ocean, a spot worthy of one of the game's greatest. After signing his historic $426.7 million contract in 2019, Trout's reputation as a legend was already sealed. Even after a challenging 2021 season, he remains at the top of the game, and this mansion is a reflection of his incredible journey. This isn't just about the views or the prime location. The home boasts spacious living areas, floor-to-ceiling windows, and high-end finishes designed with both comfort and style in mind. The modern architecture and private setting make it the ultimate retreat, perfect for quiet evenings or lively gatherings. Dude dropped $9.15 million for this house, just to reward years of excellence on and off the field. But hold up, because speaking of legends, Justin Verlander didn't stop at breaking records on the mound. This dude didn't just want a supercar. He had his sights set on one of the rarest rides in the world, the 2017 Ford GT. Look, this car was so exclusive that Ford only made 500 of them, and over 7,000 people applied just for the chance to own one. The process was no joke. You didn't just buy the car, you had to prove you were worthy of it. Verlander wasn't about to miss out. He went straight to Instagram, tagging Ford and asking, "How do I get on the list for one of these beauties?" And somehow, he actually made it happen. When his Ford GT finally arrived, my guy didn't play it cool. Nope, he went all out, posting it on social media and letting the world know exactly what just rolled into his garage. And honestly, can you blame him? Take a look at its beauty. But this was not only beautiful, it was also worth $450,000, one of the most expensive Fords ever built. It's fast and it's dripping with legendary status. But sometimes when you flex too high, you can get the world's richest people jealous, which is exactly what Shohei Ohtani did. Yo, leave it to Shohei Ohtani, the dude who's out here rewriting baseball history, to pull up in something straight out of a sci-fi flick. This man isn't just crushing it on the field. He's flexing hard off the field, too. Ohtani didn't just get any Tesla. Nah, man's got a custom matte black Tesla Model X with blacked out rims and falcon wing doors that open like something out of a space movie. But here's where it gets wild. Dude's Tesla comes with campfire mode. These virtual flames on the dashboard literally blow warm air as if you're sitting by an actual fire. Who even thinks of that? Oh, and it doesn't stop there. My guy can fire up Mario Kart on the Tesla's steering wheel. Like, bruh, Ohtani's driving a gaming console on wheels. And get this, cameras caught everything once Ohtani pulled up to an event in that beast. Elon Musk himself saw the clip and hit him with some heart emojis and a Japanese flag. Cause even Elon knows Ohtani's ride is next level. And the dude also dropped $100,000 for this ride. But this next MLB player decided to take his swag straight out of Back to the Future. Brian Wilson didn't just buy sneakers, he went for the legendary Nike Mags. Yes, these self-lacing, glowing kicks are inspired by Back to the Future. The moment Marty McFly rocked them, sneakerheads everywhere went wild. They were so expensive that most people would stop at admiring them from afar. Not Wilson. He didn't just grab one pair, he doubled up and bought two. Why settle for one when you can flex twice as hard? And dude didn't lock them in a display case or keep them tucked away for safekeeping. This man laced them up and hit the streets on a scooter, no less. That's right, $40,000 worth of sneakers casually rolling down the sidewalk. And it gets wilder. Wilson wore them during an actual MLB game, running bases, playing games, and bringing that Marty McFly energy to the field. $20,000 on each foot. But that's nothing compared to Alex Rodriguez. He actually dropped millions on something that's got people calling him a full-time climate criminal. Alex's custom Gulfstream private jet, a $4.2 million flying palace with his name, number, and logo plastered all over the inside. This plane is like a luxury lounge at 500 miles per hour. Inside, you've got iPads for days, 10 plush seats, and yeah, a private room for him and his partner. And you better believe he's showing it off with videos of him living his best high-altitude life. But while the dude's jet is cruising through the clouds, it's also dumping tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And we're not talking about a little puff of smoke. This thing pumps out more harmful emissions than every bus in the country combined. In just 4 years, private jets like Alex's have released thousands of tons of toxic gases, earning him the not-so-coveted spot of 4th most polluting celebrity plane owner in the world. Yeah, 4th. Headlines even branded him and other private jet owners as climate criminals. But this other guy wasn't going to earn himself a bad name for buying something with his own money, because Randy Johnson already owned a name, known as the Big Unit, and was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball from the late 80s to 2010. After an incredible career, he decided to settle down in Arizona, and what he ended up with was far from ordinary. Because Big Unit's mansion, which cost him $2.7 million, sits on more than 5 acres of land. This isn't just a house, it's a complete estate designed to offer luxury and entertainment. There's a tennis court, a large swimming pool, and a fully loaded gym that rivals professional training centers. And for visitors, a spacious 2-bedroom guest house makes sure they stay in comfort. What really sets this place apart are the extra features. Inside, there's a private movie theater, a billiards room, and even a poker room for game nights. And when you want to relax, there are multiple fireplaces throughout the house, adding warmth and elegance. Again, it doesn't stop there. Big Unit also added something unexpected: a wood-fired pizza oven in the bathhouse. Yeah, right next to where you'd find towels. He put them in a pizza oven. It's one of those unique touches that makes this estate more than just impressive. It's unforgettable. When he put the mansion on the market, it sold for $7.3 million. With everything it offers, from its size to its unique design choices, it's easy to see why it attracted such a high price. Because Randy Johnson's time in baseball showed he always played to win. His mansion is another example of him doing things on a grand scale. But we need to also talk about this next dude, who spent 3 times more than the big unit after winning the World Series in 2020. Mookie Betts didn't just celebrate, dude went big. Right after signing a $365 million contract, he made it clear he wasn't playing around when it came to upgrading his lifestyle. His choice? A $7.6 million mansion in Encino, California. But this isn't just a regular home. It used to belong to former NFL coach Chip Kelly, and now it's Mookie's paradise. This 2-story mansion has 9 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms. Yes, 10! That's more than enough space for Mookie and anyone who visits. And it doesn't stop there. The dining room is perfect for hosting celebrations, and the private movie theater makes sure he can watch anything in complete comfort. Outside, there's a pool and a spa that add even more luxury to the mix. Now, here's where things get really cool. The mansion has a built-in candy dispenser. Man, who even does that? An actual candy machine right at home. While most people grab a snack from the kitchen, Mookie just heads over to his own candy station. But alright, enough about houses. Some players spend a lot of money to get other crazy things. And this dude got himself these crazy chains. When Edwin Diaz steps onto the mound, the energy in the stadium goes through the roof. Fans are on their feet, mascots are vibing, and the atmosphere is electric. Why? A song that's more than just music at this point. It's Diaz's signature. The crowd goes wild every single time. But it's not just about the hype. That track is part of who he is. It represents his journey, his incredible talent, and the confidence he brings with every pitch. But Diaz wasn't content with just letting the music do all the talking, because he wanted to take things further and honor the anthem in a way that's as bold as his game. He went to his jeweler with one big idea: create something unforgettable. The result? A massive diamond pendant shaped like a blue trumpet, perfectly matching his team's colors. This chain isn't just a flashy piece, it's a masterpiece. And dude also spent $250,000 on this insane pendant. Under the stadium lights, this doesn't just shine, it straight up steals the spotlight. But sometimes when you spend too high, you end up losing it before the very beginning, just like this next MLB player. This is Yasiel Puig. Our dude was living it up in Los Angeles, playing for the Dodgers. But there was one big problem: traffic. If you've ever been stuck in LA gridlock, you know it's not just an inconvenience, it's a whole lifestyle. And for Puig, it became a serious problem. The guy just couldn't seem to make it to home games on time. At first, his excuse sounded pretty reasonable. Traffic, he'd say, shrugging as if that explained everything. But his team wasn't buying it. After too many late arrivals, they started handing out fines like they were candy. When that didn't work, they benched him. Yeah, being late in LA is a punishable offense. And this time, dude wasn't about to let a little thing like time keep him off the field. He needed a solution, and not just any solution. He needed a big-time, dude-level solution. Inspired by Donald Trump, who once landed his helicopter in a stadium for a first pitch, Puig decided to pull off a similar style. Then he buys himself this beautiful, custom blue and gray private helicopter. Wow, Puig did this so he could soar over all those cars and land at Dodger Stadium like a boss. He even posted pics of himself chilling in his new jet, cruising over LA with the confidence of a man who thought he'd beaten the system. But his big plan hit a snag. Turns out, federal aviation laws don't care how much money you have. The Dodgers quickly reminded him that FAA regulations strictly prohibit personal helicopters from landing near the stadium. Puig's helicopter dream was grounded. But dude had already dropped $400,000 for this chopper that wasn't going to land at Dodger Stadium. Puig might have been grounded by aviation laws, but don't worry, this next legend took things to a whole new level on the road. You see, some dudes buy sports cars to flex, but Aroldis Chapman? Nah, my guy's rolling around in something straight out of a GTA heist. This ain't your typical baby. It's a Rhino GX, an armored beast that legit looks like it could survive a zombie apocalypse. Cause why settle for a regular whip when you can cruise in something that could stop a bullet? But Chapman didn't stop there. Nope, he went all in and added a 6-wheeled armored truck next. And bruh, this thing's decked out. Red leather interior, custom headrests with his nickname stitched in, scratch-resistant wrap, and get this, the windows can take gunshots. Like, who even needs that? Between the Rhino GX and this 6-wheeled monster, Chapman shelled out over $200,000 for his mobile fortresses, whether he's bumping future or just rolling through traffic like a boss. But that's some chump change for some legends, cause this guy spent 5 times that amount for one ride. Dude really pulled up with a glow-in-the-dark Lamborghini. Like, who even does that? Luis Robert Jr., that's who. My boy's already killing it on the field with the Chicago White Sox, but clearly he's flexing just as hard off it. So he started with a military green Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, which, let's be real, was already fire. But nah, that wasn't enough. Man said, let's turn this into something out of an anime. So what does he do? He wraps the whole thing in this wild Naruto-themed design, complete with characters from the show. And here's where it gets crazy. This isn't just some flashy wrap job. This thing literally glows in the dark. I mean, look at this car lighting up in this orange and black glow that straight up looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie. I mean, people gotta be doing double takes like, wait, is that thing glowing? Between the base price of the Aventador SVJ and all the customization, bro spent $1 million on this beast. A full-on anime flex for a cool $1 million. Whether you're an anime fan or just someone who loves insane cars, you gotta respect it. This Lambo, it's a walking, glowing masterpiece. Man turned his whip into pure art. While Robert spent $1 million on a Lambo, Big Papi dropped more millions just to tell the time. When David Ortiz got the call confirming his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame, you'd expect all the attention to be on his incredible career. But instead, everyone's focus was drawn to his wrist. On his arm was a Richard Mille watch, but not just any Richard Mille. This was a dazzling, diamond-encrusted masterpiece, sparkling like it was made to steal every ounce of attention in the room. It wasn't just about the diamonds, though. This watch came with unbreakable glass, an automatic winding mechanism, and a design so rare that only a handful of people in the world own one. To make it even more exclusive, the only other person flaunting this kind of watch is Floyd Mayweather, someone who's practically the definition of luxury. And here's the jaw-dropping part. Ortiz spent $1.2 million on it. Yes, over $1 million for a watch. That's a statement. But look, we need to talk about our guy again for a second. He's balling even harder. No MLB legend lives better than Alex Rodriguez because he owns his own team. See, these days, every legend owns their own sports team. LeBron James owns the Liverpool Football Club, Giannis owns the Milwaukee Brewers, and Steph owns an esports team. But Alex Rodriguez owns something far more expensive. The proud owner of an NBA team. And it didn't come cheap. Of course, even with his fortune, he couldn't pull off a deal that big on his own. So he teamed up with his friend and business partner, Mark Lohr. Together, they combined their resources, locked in the deal, and became the new owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was a bold move, taking A-Rod from MLB superstar to NBA club owner in one major transaction. Now here's where things get interesting. The Timberwolves aren't exactly known for being at the top of the league. For most casual fans, they're not exactly a household name either. But dude actually invested $1.5 billion in this team. Was it about future potential? Whatever the motivation, it's clear Rodriguez and Lohr are betting big on the Timberwolves. Whether this turns into a huge win or not, only time will tell. But look, there's one legend who might just outshine them all. From diamond watches to owning an NBA team, nothing compares to what this guy has done. So let's talk about him. Derek Jeter doesn't just break records on the field, he shatters them in real estate too. Because when you're a baseball legend, You don't just buy a house, you build a kingdom that makes the rest of Tampa look like a neighborhood of dollhouses. In Tampa, Florida, Jeter constructed a mansion so massive, so over the top, that it literally set the record for the most expensive home in the city's history. How massive is it? Let's just say you'd need a drone and maybe a wide-angle lens to even capture the whole thing on camera. This is a statement. Sitting on over an acre of prime waterfront land, this paradise boasts direct ocean access and one of the most extravagant pools you'll ever see. But the outside is just the warm-up act. Let's see what's inside. This has 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, and a walk-in closet so big it could double as an apartment complex. But wait, it gets better. The mansion also comes equipped with a private gym because, of course, the captain needs to keep in shape. And dude's home has a full bar, conveniently located next to his very own movie theater. Well, he also dropped $22 million to make this thing a reality. Owning a $22 million house might be impressive, but it's nothing compared to a guy who outsmarted an entire team by just walking. Trust me, you have to see the craziest mind games in MLB history. From a fake intentional walk to a skunk causing chaos, these are the most shocking MLB mind games ever played. And we gotta start with the time Christian Yelich pulled off a move that left the entire defense looking lost. Dude got caught in a rundown between first and second. Now normally, that's the last place you want to be as a runner. It's usually game over. But Yelich, man, wasn't about to let anyone play mind games with him. While the defense was busy chasing him around, Lorenzo Cain quietly made his way to second base, safe and sound. By the time the defense realized what was happening, it was too late. Yelich had just turned what should have been a disaster into a brilliant setup. At one point, it felt like the defense had forgotten which base they were guarding. But Yelich wasn't the only one who knew all the rules of mind games, because Ernesto Frieri also proved that sometimes the smartest move is to let chaos do the work for you. A broken bat blooper is spinning toward the infield, and dude doesn't move a muscle. This guy already has his plan. Most pitchers would rush in, grab it, and throw to first. But Frieri? Nah, he lets the ball bounce. But why would Frieri even allow that? Because if he doesn't touch it, the base runners have to make a decision fast. And that's exactly what happens. The base runners hesitate just long enough for the defense to pounce, and boom, double play. Dude didn't even have to break a sweat. He let the ball do the work, and his quick thinking secured 2 outs. I mean, this move was comedic. How could you not love that? But the mind games don't stop there, because what Freddie Freeman did at number 21 shows why he's one of the smartest guys on the field by simply thinking one step ahead. Watch this. The Braves are on defense, and everything seems ordinary. Most players would just get the out at first and move on, but not Freddie. This dude notices something's not quite right with the runner's placement, and instead of doing the obvious, he takes a risk. Dude fires the ball to third base, setting up an appeal play. The opposing team completely caught off guard, and it works like a charm. The Braves get the out at third, and the play at first doesn't even matter anymore. This type of play is only carried out by legends. Freeman's fast thinking saved the inning, and the other team was left running around trying to figure out what just happened. This guy really is the GOAT of mind games. But you have to see what the next player did, because it's even crazier. Lazaro pulled off a play so sneaky it could have been a magician's trick. Watch how this started. Runners are on first and third, and the defense is trying to stop them from scoring. Lazaro standing there, gripping the ball, with everyone holding their breath. Is he going to throw? Nope, not yet. He looks like he's about to throw to second, but wait, he doesn't. Instead, he fakes the throw, and the runner on third flinches, caught in no man's land. Unsure of whether to advance or retreat. That hesitation, it's all Lazaro needs. The defense regroups, and just like that, the play is over before the offense even knows what hit them. I mean, this dude isn't going to let anyone play mind games with him, but you need to be the GOAT to make the mind games list, because this play was all about mental manipulation. Now we're moving into the top 19, and things are about to get wild. If you thought Lazaro's bluff was sneaky, just wait, because Bautista's about to pull off off a play so chaotic, it'll have you questioning everything you know about rundowns. Jose Bautista's about to give us a wild ride. Here's what happened. This dude gets caught in a rundown between second and third. Now, when a rundown, it's usually game over for the runner. The defense is closing in. The crowd's on the edge of their seats, but Bautista, instead of panicking, he hesitates, jukes, and twists just enough to confuse the defense. The defense scrambles, throwing back and forth, but Bautista's hesitation has them second-guessing every move. By the time they figure out what's going on, Bautista is safe and the play is over. Man, how the hell do you even come up with something like that? It's as if these players love playing mind games. Bautista is really out here putting defenses in their place, but he's not the only one. At number 18, we've got the time Todd Helton took mind games to a different level. Look at what happened. The ball gets thrown back to the infield, and everything looks normal. Dude casually pretends to throw it back to the pitcher, right? But look at my guy again. It turns out Helton never let go of the ball. He's got it hidden in his glove like he's starring in a heist movie. Meanwhile, Matt Carpenter is over at first base, totally clueless. He steps off the bag, thinking the play's over. But Helton, he's been waiting for this exact moment. With one smooth move, he tags Carpenter out before he even realizes what's happening. Look, this isn't just an out. This is pure baseball mind game. This is a mind game move that makes you wonder, how does anyone keep a straight face after pulling off something that genius? But number 17 is even crazier because Ichiro Suzuki is out here proving why he's one of the smartest players in the game. Watch this. A fly ball is hit deep to center field. Dude runs back, tracking it, and then the ball soars past him. It's a guaranteed extra base hit, or at least that's what the runner thinks. Instead of turning to chase it down, Ichiro pretends he's got it covered. He faces the infield, raises his glove, and acts like he's about to make the catch of the century. Man, this player is doing all of this right in front of us. Ichiro sells it like a Broadway actor. Glove up, eyes locked, and completely calm. It's so convincing that even the crowd is fooled for a second. The base runner, he completely buys it. By the time the runner realizes the ball is still in play, it's too late. Ichiro's teammate scoops it up, and the runner is stuck on first when they could have easily made it to second or even third. This wasn't just a fake, it was psychological warfare. And now, here comes this other dude who let the ball drop on purpose so that he could successfully carry out his mind game. Look at what happened. A high fly ball is hit to left field. Holiday runs under it, ready to make the catch. But instead of going for the out, he lets the ball drop on purpose. Why? Because by doing that, he sets up his team for a double play. The defense plays along perfectly, and the base runners, they're completely caught off guard. Dude's decision was risky, and this could have easily backfired. If the ball had bounced wrong or the runners caught on, Holiday would have looked like a fool, but instead, he looked like a genius. Yeah, this dude might have taken things too far, but you know what? Sometimes letting go is the smartest thing you can do, at least in baseball. But this next guy is going to do something even crazier. Not only is he going to turn a simple ground ball into a masterclass, but he's going to do it with patience and strategy. The play starts with a weakly hit ball rolling toward third base. Normally, players in games like this would rush to grab it and make the throw, but Pena, he doesn't even touch it. Instead, he stands there, watching the ball as if it owes him money, hoping it'll roll foul. The ball keeps rolling, inch by inch, closer to the foul line. The crowd's holding their breath, and so is Pena, because if this doesn't go foul, he's in trouble. And guess what? It does. The ump calls it foul, and Nick Swisher is out before he even realizes what's happening. Dude didn't just save himself a tough throw, he practically made Swisher beat himself. Man, this player deserves a raise, because that was a genius move. But if you think that was clever, wait until you hear about the guy who made the smartest move and earned him a fourth out. You see, the Braves were up against the Mets, and the inning seemed over after a close play at first base. The third out had been called, but Freddie Freeman wasn't buying it. The Braves thought they were safe. 3 outs. Inning over, right? But not Freeman. Oh no. Dude knew the Mets might challenge the play at first, and if that call got overturned, things could get crazy real fast. So instead of strolling off the field like everyone else, Freeman grabbed the ball and launched it to third base, tagging out a runner who was just standing there like he was at recess. While everyone else was walking off the field, Freeman's quick throw to third left the Mets and the crowd completely amazed. Why? Because Freeman knew the play might be challenged at first. If the call got overturned, the runner at third would have still been safe, but by tagging him out, Dude made sure that even if the first call got reversed, the inning was still over. Man, this guy is now playing mind games with the whole world. Who even thinks that quickly? Dude didn't just prevent disaster, he completely shut down the Mets' chance to score. And honestly, how does this guy always catch the tiniest details that everyone else misses? But this next guy is going to do something even more crazy. At number 13, we've got a mind game so crazy, it should have come with a warning label. Here's the setup. Stevenson is on third, ready to take off for home. The defense executes the fake so perfectly that even the crowd is fooled for a second. They act like they've lost control of the ball, and Stevenson takes the bait, sprinting toward home like he's got it in the bag. But what he doesn't realize is that the defense is a step ahead. By the time Stevenson figures out he's been duped, it's already too late. The catcher is right there, ball in hand, waiting for him. Before Dude can even think about sliding, he's tagged out at home. This is more than a clever mind game. It's a cold-blooded lesson in defense. Stevenson, he's just the unfortunate victim, and the defense, straight up savage. But that brings us to number 12, where things somehow get even wilder. This next guy proves that when the stakes are high, you've got to take the rules into your own hands, literally. It's a do-or-die moment. The Red Sox are staring down elimination, and Jason Varitek finds himself stuck in a pickle with no easy way out. Most players in his position would try to run back to third base or dive to safety, but Varitek? Nah, this guy had other plans. Instead, he barrels straight into the fielder, catching everyone off guard. Why? Because according to the rule book, if a fielder doesn't have the ball and isn't actively making a play, they can't block the runner. That collision forced an obstruction call, and Varitek was awarded home plate. Man, the entire crowd gasped. You know that Dude made the defense pay for trying to shut him down. Most players wouldn't even think of trying this, but Varitek, he knew the rule book better than anyone else on that field. Not only did this move save the inning, but it pushed the game into extras. And guess what? The Red Sox fought back, won the game, took the series, and saved their entire season. This was more than a mind game, because it was a season-changing decision, and that decision changed everything. But the next play, this dude didn't just bend the rules. He practically broke the defense with one of the sneakiest tricks in the game. Look, it seems like something they copied from a heist movie. Mike Lowell and the defense are about to pull off the legendary hidden ball trick, and Frazier, dude never saw it coming. Here's what happened. Frazier slides into third, thinking the play is over. The defense plays it cool, acting like it's just another routine moment. Frazier thinks the play's done, but Lowell is watching, just waiting for his chance. Frazier casually lifts his foot off the base, and bam! Lowell tags him out. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and gasps as Frazier realizes he's been completely duped. Look, it's one of the oldest tricks in the baseball playbook, but when it works, it's pure genius. Lowell's mind game might have been one of the craziest plays in baseball history, but if you think we've shown you all the craziest mind games, think again, because now that we're into our top 10, we're taking crazy to a whole new level, starting with two players who pulled off a move so wild, it's something we may never see again. Yunel Escobar and Evan Longoria didn't just stop this base runner, they made him look completely lost. Here's what happened. A runner on third is trying to get an edge, waiting for his chance to score. Escobar doesn't just fake a throw, he sells it like a pro. Eyes locked on another base, completely fooling the runner. The runner takes a step, then another, watching Escobar's every move. He's ready to make his break, but dude is already 2 steps ahead. Instead of throwing elsewhere, Escobar tosses the ball straight to Longoria at third. The base runner, he doesn't even realize what's happening. Longoria tags him out so fast that the poor guy probably needed a replay to figure out what just went down. These guys are really the goats of mind games. It was a perfectly executed trap, but this next dude is about to give us a wild ride. Look at this. The Athletics are facing one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball, and the obvious move is to intentionally walk him. The catcher signals for it, and the batter steps back, relaxed. The crowd's settling in. This one's a no-brainer, or so they think. Then, out of nowhere, the catcher springs into position, and Fingers delivers a perfect strike. The batter doesn't even flinch until it's over. The inning is over, and the batter's left standing there like, what just happened? Meanwhile, the crowd goes wild and Raleigh walks off, because this is a move that's been done by legends. Alone, this wasn't just great pitch deception. Raleigh Fingers embarrassed one of the best hitters in the league. Now this is cool, but what comes next takes things to a whole new level. Dude's bold move created a moment that left everyone speechless. Next, we've got Nolan Gorman breaking one of baseball's most unspoken rules and somehow making it look brilliant. The bases are loaded, 2 outs, and every eye in the stadium is glued to the action. The tension is unbearable as Gorman heads for second on a routine ground ball. Normally, every runner slides into second to try and avoid the tag, but Gorman, he does the unthinkable. He sprints straight through the bag, daring the defense to tag him. Why? Because by not sliding, he ensures the runner on third scores before the out is made. The defense is so thrown off that they don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. Dude's counterintuitive move didn't just score a run, it changed the game. Other teams started copying it, turning one brilliant mind game into a league-wide tactic. Now we see Kyle Tucker pull off something so clever that it left the entire defense running in circles. Look at this. The Diamondbacks are trying to appeal a run, believing that the previous base runner left the bag early. If they succeed, the run gets wiped off the board. But Tucker, he's not about to let that happen. Just as the defense sets up for the appeal, Dude takes off for home plate. The defense has no choice. They abandon the appeal to tag Tucker out. But here's the catch. By doing that, they've started a new play, which means the appeal is no longer valid. The result, the run stays on the board, and Tucker's distraction leaves the Diamondbacks looking like they just fell for a magician's trick. This wasn't just heads-up base running. It was a masterstroke of timing and chaos. And now, here comes another dude who flipped the script and successfully carried out one of the most unexpected mind games you'll ever see. Watch this. It all starts with runners on first and third. The defense is locked in, eyes on every runner, ready to stop any chance of a steal. But Kentucky, dude's about to pull off something wild. As the runner on third takes off for home, the runner on first does something no one expected. He falls flat on his face. And no, it's not an accident. This was part of the plan. The defense freezes, completely distracted by the unexpected fall, while the runner on third slides into home unnoticed. By the time the pitcher figures out what's happening, it's already too late. But it doesn't stop there. The runner who fell gets back up, steals second, and both runners are safe. This mind game is a masterclass in chaos. Kentucky didn't just steal the base, they stole the entire moment. Man, this is brilliant. But let's talk about Greg Maddux, because this guy reminds us why he's considered one of the smartest pitchers to ever take the mound. Look at this. Lastings Millage is caught between first and second base, trying to read the situation. Pulled off a great mind game. He didn't overpower the hitters or make some insane pitch. He simply outmaneuvered the base runners. And that's why Greg Maddux is a baseball legend. But hold on. Next, we've got the time Johnny Bench, a base just as the pitcher delivered. The catcher jumped back into position, and bam! A strike zipped right past Bench. He didn't even see it coming. Bench froze, completely confused. The crowd was completely shocked, and the Athletics, they walked off the field grinning because they just pulled off the perfect mind game. But while the Athletics used deception to outwit a legend, Carter Capps was out here redefining the game with a delivery no one could believe. Look at this. A pitcher literally leaping off the mound. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Dude had a delivery so wild, it looked like he was trying out for the long jump. Instead of pitching from the rubber like a normal pitcher, Capps would literally leap forward, cutting down the distance between him and the batter. But why does that matter? Because with that leap, his 98-mile-per-hour fastball felt more like 101. Batters were left swinging at thin air, completely caught off guard by the pitch arriving faster than they'd ever expected. Capps dominated. His leap gave him such an edge that MLB eventually had to step in and ban it. But here's the thing. While it lasted, Capps was nearly unstoppable. He turned one small tweak into a career-defining advantage, proving that sometimes you've got to think outside the box to change the game. Capps may have bent the rules, but Miguel Cabrera, that dude took things to a whole other level. The Orioles were clinging to a one-run lead. The tension was off the charts, and they were trying to play it safe by avoiding Cabrera's bat completely. Their plan, an intentional walk. But Cabrera, he had other ideas. As the pitch came in, a slow, unhittable 50-mile-per-hour throw meant to be safely outside the zone. Cabrera did the unthinkable. He swung at it, and not only did he swing, but he smacked the ball into the outfield, driving in the game-tying run. Most hitters would have just stood there, letting the intentional walk happen. But no, not Miggy. Dude saw his chance and took it. The Orioles dugout was stunned. What was supposed to be a safe, easy play had turned into an absolute disaster. The crowd couldn't believe what they just witnessed. Cabrera walked off with one of the most legendary RBIs in baseball history. But there's no mind game greater than what this high school baseball team did next. Look, let's talk about this play that's so crazy, so chaotic, it's become legendary. This is the skunk in the outfield trick. Here's how it goes down. A high school team is on the field, runners on first and third. The runner on first does something no one expects. Boom! He takes off, but instead of heading for second, he runs straight into the outfield. And not just a little. This guy takes a 50-foot lead into right field. The defense doesn't know what to do. Do they chase him? Do they throw the ball? The pitcher is standing there like, is this even allowed? But here's the genius part. By the time the defense figures out what's happening, the runner on third scores easily. And the guy in the outfield, he jogs back to second. Safe as can be. The best part, it's all completely legal. According to the rules, a base path is only established when a tag is attempted. And since no one tried to tag the runner, he could stand out in the outfield all day if he wanted. See, this trickery was a masterclass in breaking the rules without actually breaking the rules. The defense fell apart, the offense scored, and everyone watching was left wondering how they'd never thought of it before. Man, the skunk in the outfield trick is pure craziness. Mind games might be considered smart, but what do we call a groundskeeper cheating to give his team the advantage? Stay put to see the worst cheating moments in MLB history.
From using hidden devices to transmit signals during games to groundskeepers illegally altering the pitch, these are 13 of the most controversial moments of cheating in MLB. Number 13, Groundskeeper Scandal, 2001. The Milwaukee Brewers found themselves in the middle of a scandal when a groundskeeper was accused of tweaking the field to give their pitchers an edge. Apparently, the groundskeeper was adjusting the height of the pitcher's mound and the length of the infield grass to make things easier for the Brewers pitcher. Even though the players weren't directly involved, this whole thing stirred up a lot of talk about fair play and sportsmanship. Because of this incident, MLB started keeping a closer eye on field conditions to make sure every team's playing field met league standards. They wanted to make sure everything was fair and square for all the teams out there. Number 12, Bat Corking Incident, 1994. White Sox slugger Albert Bell got busted for using a corked bat during a 1994 game against the Cleveland Indians, and things got pretty wild. So, corking a bat means stuffing it with lighter materials, like cork, to make it faster and more powerful. When the umpires confiscated Bella's bat, it set off a crazy chain of events where White Sox pitcher Jason Grimsley tried to sneak into the umpire's room to get it back. Talk about a bizarre turn of events. Number 11, the man in white. The Toronto Blue Jays found themselves in the middle of a pretty wild accusation back in 2011. People were saying they had a man in white sitting out in the stands, helping their batters by signaling stolen signs. Apparently, this guy was dressed in white and would use hand signals to let the Blue Jays batter know what pitches were coming. The story got a lot of attention because the details were so specific, but when MLB looked into it, they couldn't find any solid evidence to back up the claims. Number 10, LA Dodgers controversy. A controversy arose before the 2019 postseason erupted that the Los Angeles Dodgers were involved in cheating by using video replay rooms to cheat. The Los Angeles Dodgers were alleged to have used technology to steal signs, a vice that had cut across the MLB organizations in recent past. As much as the details of the allegations were reported, this incident brought to the limelight various teams employing wrong strategies. While not punishable by MLB, the Dodgers' allegations contributed to creating further infractions against sign stealing in baseball. Number 9, PED usage by the Cincinnati Reds. The MLB season of 2021 saw many players, including the Cincinnati Reds pitcher Trevor Bauer, being accused of the use of banned foreign substances for improved spin and grip of the baseballs. The loud complaint stemmed from the allegedly forbidden use of sticky materials, which aided pitchers in gaining an unfair edge, as they improved their spin rate of the ball, thus making it nearly impossible for the batters to hit the ball. One of the most popular authors who actively publish materials regarding such practice today is Bauer himself. In 2021, baseball's attempts at curbing the use of foreign substances led to frequent examinations of pitchers mid-game, suspensions, and raised awareness. This movement was intended to make the competition fair to all the players. Number 8. Baltimore Orioles accusations. Also in 2017, the Boston Red Sox raised questions about the Baltimore Orioles using Apple Watches to steal signs, same as the Astros and Red Sox. The use of electronics was accusative and commonly used by the Orioles to relay signs stolen by their third party, though MLB never took it in as a cause of penalties. This was the case as the questions about e-sign stealing practices began showing their face in the NFL circles. It helped MLB in the future to look into electronic sign stealing issues of the teams and place stricter mechanisms and penalties to avoid the uses of such means for gaining benefits. Number 7. Ball doctoring incident 2011. The incident involving the Milwaukee Brewers being charged with applying foreign substances to moisten baseballs was a culmination of a long-standing problem in MLB. As for the Brewers, they were not charged officially, yet claims for using foreign substances on balls have been leveled against several teams constituting the league, which has prompted the MLB to act on the matter. In the same year, the league introduced random searches of pitchers for banned substances and materials during games. This triggered a period of scrutiny towards the pitchers in which some were ejected and suspended because of the incidences of ball doctoring. This only highlighted the major problems seen in fields, ways, and many other places of competition with regards to leveling and fairness or lack of it. Number 6. Performance-enhancing drugs in MLB. Even though many MLB players have received lengthy bans for testing positive for the substances, the PED issue has not entirely disappeared and exists in baseball today. Some baseball players like Robinson Cano in the year 2020 and Starling Marte in 2017 have been suspended for testing positive for prohibited substances. These cases show how hard MLB is in fighting the abuse of PEDs in the game, despite efforts that have been put in place. Due to this development, MLB is now working on fine-tuning its drug test program to serve its principle of enhancing the sport's integrity. Number 5. 2015 hacking scandal. The St. Louis Cardinals themselves were caught red-handed hacking the competition team known as the Houston Astros database. Chris Correa was an executive of the Cardinals who hacked into the Astros organization's private system and stole the evaluations of the players, trades, and scouting documents. This breach happened after Jeff Luhnow, who was a former employee of the Cardinals, moved to the Astros team. Correa was then convicted and received a 46-month imprisonment together with other punitive measures of restitution. In 2017, the fines slapped on the Cardinals were a whopping $2 million. Number 4. Signing violations. The Atlanta Braves managed to get into some deep water for violating MLB's international signing rules, and the punishment was steep. The team was found to have been involved in some undercover tactics in signing players from other countries. They provided other perks and disguised the additional incentives so that they could bypass MLB's set budget. A probe revealed that they were involved in cases of embezzlement, corruption, and misuse of signing bonuses and contracts. Consequently, MLB stripped 13 of the international signees, headed by Kevin Maitan, of their rookie status. The team was also fined for some amount of money and was banned on some of the transactions, particularly those in the future international market. On top of all that, the general manager, John Coppolilla, was banned from baseball for life. It was a big scandal that was a real shakeup for the Braves. Number 3. Clinic checkups. In MLB, the biogenesis scandal was a very big one, involving a clinic in Miami that supplied PEDs to several MLB players, some of whom were famous. Biogenesis of America was marketed as an anti-aging clinic, but they were distributing prohibited substances to several players. The whole thing erupted when the records of the clinic were leaked and led to one of the biggest investigations by MLB. 13 players were suspended. The most recognized of these is Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees, who was to serve a suspension of 211 games, which were later reduced to 162. Some other players, such as Ryan Braun, were also suspended. This scandal brought much attention to the battle against PEDs in baseball and led to more drug testing to attempt to maintain baseball as a clean sport. Number 2. Houston Astros scandal. The Houston Astros were caught using electronic devices during games to relay signs from the opposing teams during the 2017 campaigns, the same year in which the Astros won the World Series. Here's how it went down. The Astros placed a camera in center field to steal signs from the opposing team's catcher to the pitcher. They passed that information to players in the dugout and used a trash can to communicate to the batter what type of pitch was likely to be thrown. That is why, after the scandal, the Astros had some harsh penalties imposed of them. Manager A.J. Hitch and general manager Jeff Luhnow were both suspended and then fired. The team management was given a $5 million fine and the first and second round draft selections of 2020 and 2021. Number 1. Boston Red Sox sign stealing. Following the entire Astros scandal, the Boston Red Sox also got caught in a mess that involved the use of technology in sign stealing during the 2018 World Series winning season. The team was blamed for using the video replay room to convey what signals the rivaling teammates had to send to the batter. MLB claimed their practices were not as aggressive as those of the Astros, but they were rule-breaking nonetheless. Consequently, manager Alex Cora, who had been involved in the Astros sign stealing as their bench coach, ended up parting ways with the Red Sox. Interestingly, he was rehired later on.
Installing a camera to steal your opponent's information might be wild. But wait till you see an umpire who ruined MLB with the perfect heist.
Today, we're diving into the Umpiring Hall of Shame, a place where blown calls haunt players' dreams and leave fans fuming. Buckle up, these are the 20 times umpires ruined MLB. Number 20, The Perfect Game Heist, 2010. And at number 20, imagine being 1 out away from making not just MLB, but baseball history. And then, bam! Jim Joyce pulls a move out of nowhere and blows the call at first. This is what happened to Armando Galarraga's perfect game, and his dream vanished in front of his eyes. For Detroit, this one still hurts.
Ground ball, right side, Cabrera will cut it off, Galarraga covers! He's out! No! He's safe!
But at number 19, an umpire turned into a human backstop. Number 19, the Jeffrey Mayer grab 1996. Does anyone remember that one kid, Jeffrey Mayer? Well, we're taking a trip down memory lane for number 19. That's right, the one who decided to become a human backstop for the Yankees in the ALCS? Snagging a fly ball out of the air, robbing the Orioles of an out, and giving the Yanks a win. Mayer went on to make a lot of fans upset that day. But even such a controversial catch is nothing compared to what Sam Holbrook did.
Going back to the track, to the wall. And what happens here? He contends that a fan reaches up and touches it.
Number 18, the infield fly face-off 2012. Buckle up for a rulebook brawl coming your way. Sam Holbrook throws down the infield fly flag in the wild card game, and all hell breaks loose. The Braves erupt into cheer. The Cardinals are confused, and fans are left scratching their heads. Let's just say social media went into meltdown mode over this one. But what happened at number 17 got fans asking why umpires exist.
He'll take it. He'll call. Oh, it's going to drop. It falls.
Number 17, 1969 World Series Game 4. Baltimore Orioles versus New York Mets. J.C. Martin laid down a perfect bunt, no doubt about it. But let's talk about the aftermath. The guy straight up interfered with the play. He crossed right into the path of the throw, causing the ball to deflect, and he let the runner score. Classy case of a lucky break. The umpires? Well, they seem to be on another planet that day. Which reminds me of the situation that happened with Pine Tar in 1983.
It's taken now by Rickett, throws to first, and it hit him in the back. Here comes the winning run, the ball is in play.
Number 16, the Pine Tar Paradox. George Brett launches a majestic homer, and Royals fans erupt. But wait, the Yankees call for a bat check, and it pays off. Brett's bat looks like it went swimming in a pine tar vat, and the umpire sees it too. The umps call him out, chaos erupts, and the game gets delayed. The decision sparked outrage as the rule was rarely enforced, and the excessive pine tar didn't even impact the play's outcome. You think this is bad? Stick around to see the madness that happened at number 1. But before we get to that, let's look at an ump who forgot the rules mid-game.
He's out. Yes, Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out.
Number 15, 1997 NLCS Game 5, Atlanta Braves versus Florida Marlins. Livan Hernandez, the guy who normally couldn't strike out his own shadow, suddenly turns into Randy Johnson. How'd he do it? Well, it wasn't exactly pure pitching magic. Let's just say the home plate ump, Eric Gregg, had a very generous strike zone that day. While other umpires cut some slack, guys like Ken Burkhart just love to mess players up.
Got him! Eric Gregg punches him out. It's his 15th.
Number 14. 1970 World Series Game 1. Baltimore Orioles versus Cincinnati Reds. In the 1970 World Series, Bernie Carbo, the man trying to score, ran into Ken Burkhart here and it cost him the game. The Cincinnati manager tried arguing with Burkhart, but it was of no use to a man who was determined to not admit his placement was wrong. You gotta love baseball, right? Where else can you see an umpire become the star of the show? But while umps try to uphold the new law, some players find ways to break them. Number 13. 1991 World Series Game 2. Atlanta Braves versus Minnesota Twins. You want to talk about dirty plays? Let's talk about Kent Herbeck. This guy took playing hardball to a whole new level. We're talking about the 1991 World Series, a classic matchup between the Braves and Twins. Things were heated, the tension was high, and then Herbeck pulled this move. This play? A total game changer. A cheap shot that shouldn't have a place in baseball. Now that's something I thought I'd never see. But at number 12, I doubt this umpire even has eyes.
And now Gant gets back to first, and he's out!
Number 12. The Phantom Tag Fiasco. 1999 High Stakes, High Drama. A play at the plate in the NLCS goes down, and the umpires yell, out. But replays expose a blatant lack of a tag. The Braves feel robbed. The Mets get a tainted win. Now that's the first time I'm seeing a blind umpire.
Valentin, a check swing, ground ball to foul line. They say he tagged the runner. He missed it. Was he called out because he was out of the baseline?
But at number 11, this guy became the face of misfortune. Number 11. The Bartman Blockbuster, 2003. Chicago Cubs fans, steel yourselves. Steve Bartman's name became synonymous with misfortune at Wrigley Field after his well-intentioned though ill-advised attempt at a foul ball. Cubs outfielder Moises Alou tried to catch the ball near the wall, but it was deflected by Cubs fan Steve Bartman. The umpire ruled that it wasn't fan interference. Had Alou successfully caught the ball, it would have resulted in the second out of the inning, leaving the Cubs only 4 outs away from securing their first National League pennant since 1945. The play's subsequent unraveling for the Cubs remains a cautionary tale for overzealous fans. A reminder that sometimes the best defense is a well-placed glove on the outfield grass. But even such craziness couldn't break into our top 10, because from here on, things will get crazier.
Reaching into the stands and couldn't get it. He's livid with a foul.
Starting with the weird play that happened at the 1975 World Series. Number 10. 1975 World Series Game 3. Boston Red Sox versus Cincinnati Reds. The 1975 World Series, Reds versus Red Sox. Bottom of the 10th, the game is tied. Ed Armbrister drops a bunt right in front of home plate. Now here's the kicker. Instead of running to first like any normal human would, Armbrister just stands there. The Reds score and win the game. After hitting the bunt, Armbrister collided with Boston catcher Carlton Fisk while running to first base. Umpire Larry Barnett did not call interference, which was controversial because many believed Armbrister had obstructed Fisk's attempt to field the ball. This weird play still haunts Boston and remains one of the most debated umpire decisions in World Series history.
Pittsburgh in the National League playoffs. Tried the winning run. Throw to second. High. And Carl Smith over to third. Safe.
They are saying that the batter, after bunting, interfered with Carl Smith, the catcher, in fair territory.
Speaking of which, fans of the Chicago White Sox will never be able to live down the 1919 World Series scandal that tainted the MLB forever. Number 9. The Black Sox Scandal. This one's a classic for a reason. We know it, you know it. The world knows it. This is the Chicago White Sox throwing the World Series. The Black Sox scandal wasn't just a bad game. It was a stain on the sport that still stings. While the focus was mainly on the players and gamblers, the umpires played a role in allowing the scandal to unfold. They were largely unaware of the fix and failed to detect intentional errors made by players during games. The umpires had limited authority to investigate player misconduct and were not equipped to address suspicions. Their inability to maintain game integrity highlighted vulnerabilities in the system, leading to criticism and eventually prompting changes in baseball oversight, including appointing a commissioner to ensure fair play. The MLB had to make some adjustments to save face, just like when Fred Merkel's slip-up caused a rushed board meeting. Number 8. No-hitter lucks out. Now let's rewind to a game between the Chicago White Sox and the Texas Rangers, where the White Sox pitcher Melito Perez was working on a no-hitter. Enter umpire Richie Garcia with a head-scratching call. Garcia ruled that a ball, which clearly hit the ground, was caught by the outfielder. This mistake allowed Perez's no-hitter to keep going, but under a cloud of controversy. It was a big reminder of how important accurate officiating is, especially when it comes to preserving those magical moments in baseball history.
Got him. Cool ball, chase that pitch in the dirt.
Number 7. 2013 ALCS missed call. In Game 3 of the 2013 American League Championship Series, things got heated between the Boston Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. Umpire Jim Joyce found himself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. He called Red Sox player Will Middlebrook safe at third base on a play that had everyone scratching their heads. Replay showed that he might have been out, but the call stood. This mistake gave the Red Sox a big boost, helping them win the game and reminding everyone just how crucial it is for umpires to get those big calls right, especially in the playoffs.
Here's the throw! He is! They're going to say he's safe!
Number 6. Laurie's helmet heard round the world. Brett Laurie's helmet toss was like a volcano erupting in the middle of a baseball game. We've all been frustrated by bad calls, but this was next level. It sparked a debate about player behavior and the line between passion and petulance. Throwing a fit, taking the whole stadium by storm, it was a moment to watch for the whole team.
Now he calls it up, and then the helmet, and
Taking a look back at a moment that's hard to forget next. Remember the whole baseball community protested against an umpire's decision? Number 5. 1978 World Series, Game 4. Los Angeles Dodgers versus New York Yankees. Infamous with the Dodgers fans, this game is remembered for pitcher Reggie Jackson. During the 6th inning, with the Dodgers leading 3-1, Lou Piniella of the Yankees hit a line drive to Dodgers shortstop Bill Russell, who attempted a double play. Russell's throw to first baseman Steve Garvey struck Jackson, who was running from first to second base. Jackson appeared to intentionally position himself to be hit by the throw, causing the ball to deflect away. This allowed Thurman Munson to score and extended the inning. And yet, despite all of this, the game was allowed to stand, to the ire of many Dodgers fans. The umpire had made their call. No turning back now. The umpire's job is to keep things straightforward. Wish someone would have given Bob Davidson the memo. Number 4. The Bulk and Bob Enigma. Bob Davidson, the enigma wrapped in a puzzle. His bulk calls were like trying to decipher alien hieroglyphics. Players, managers, and fans alike were left scratching their heads. Turning the whole game on its head, Bob Davidson grew to be not just the man to attract the ire of fans, but the dread of the plays as well.
Ground ball. That is a foul ball. Oh, goodness. Bob Davidson's about to get an earful. Once it's fair, it goes over the bag. Oh, goodness.
Now that we're down to our top 3 picks, you might want to relax, because things are about to get more annoying. Starting with a WWE fan at a baseball game. Number 3. The fan interference fiasco. Baseball is a game of inches, but this fan almost cost a team a home run in feet. Their overzealous catch attempt was like a WWE-style interference, but in a baseball stadium. The few times this has happened, it has not been looked on by society for dusting the followers of the game. It raised questions about fan behavior and the boundaries between spectator and participant. Even the rowdiest of fans, however, was no match for Angel Hernandez and his alien rules of umpiring. Number 2. The Angel Hernandez Show. Angel Hernandez is the wild card of umpiring. His strike zone is like a black hole that swallows pitches whole, and his bulk calls are straight up mind-boggling, if not widely controversial in the time that he umpired. It's like watching a tennis match where the linesman is clearly on one side. Love him or hate him, he certainly made baseball more interesting. And hate him, many certainly did. Coming up to the top pick, a moment that's been etched into baseball history and every fan's minds forever. The time when the MLB hired an umpire who didn't know right from left and strike from ball. Number 1. The Denkinger Disaster. Don Denkinger's blown call in the 1985 World Series is the stuff of legends. It's a classic case of one bad call changing the course of history. The World Series call set the stage for a new set of rules around umpiring to be christened, and for stricter regulation after it changed the game. Still, these umpires might have ruined the MLB, but they're nothing compared to the times fans took things too far.
It sucks when the guys who set the rules end up breaking them, which is why I don't blame this baseball player for attacking the umpire.
From a pitcher accidentally obliterating a bird mid-flight to a player hilariously paying off a debt in 150,000 pennies, here are the 25 funniest moments in MLB history. These outrageous and side-splitting incidents will leave you in stitches. Number 25. Wally Buckman's fiery tirade during a mic'd-up game remains one of the most brutal yet hilarious moments in baseball history. His unfiltered anger and colorful language provided a rare and amusing glimpse into the intensity of managerial frustration.
Get by him.
He was in front of the runner.
Bullshit. You can't call a guy safe and then call him out.
Number 24. It's a dream for any player to hit a walk-off home run. But Nate McLouth had his moment turn out a little differently. Late in the game, McLouth had a game-winning hit and went back to the dugout only to find his teammates were not there. They left him alone to celebrate it in a bit of hazing.
Instead, he drives one to right and deep. Work looks up. This game is over.
Where is everybody? Silent treatment. Game over, team gone.
Number 23. Umpires are rarely the target of game day pranks, but former umpire Eric Gregg often found himself on the receiving end. One memorable instance was when a hamburger was placed atop third base during a game he was umpiring. The sight of Gregg, known for his large stature, discovering the burger was both hilarious and unforgettable.
Time is called now, the whole plate umpire season. Think about it.
Number 22. Not even a man of his build like David Ortiz is saved from pulling pranks. Ortiz said Corey Koski, the third baseman for the Minnesota Twins, put peanut butter in his underwear and placed them in the locker. Ortiz didn't notice it, got fully dressed, only to be surprised, and then laugh with his teammates in the end.
While he was in the shower, I went in the peanut butter and grabbed a big handful of this chunky peanut butter, threw it in his tighty whities,
and he felt something in his drawers.
Pulls down his pants.
Everybody was on the ground laughing.
Your own personalized Big Papi's Skippy Super Hunk Peanut Butter.
Number 21. Some pranks extend beyond the clubhouse and into the public eye. Arizona Diamondbacks infielder Kelly Johnson experienced this firsthand when his at-bat theme song was changed to It's Raining Men. The unexpected and funny song choice left fans and players in stitches.
Kelly Johnson.
Got a new walk-up song up to the plate tonight.
Yeah, it's been one of my dreams to come out to that song for a long time.
Number 20. A seemingly annual spring training tradition, the three-man lift involves rookies being entangled together while a player attempts to lift them, or so they think. It's a prank that never fails to generate laughter, as the rookies soon realize what's really happening.
Let's go, baby! Go!
Number 19. Baseball player Ken Griffey Jr. once owed his teammate on the Reds, Josh Fogg, $1,500. In a classic case of tit for tat, Griffey hit him back by paying him in pennies. 150,000 of them. The fact that boxes were filled with pennies and they were heavy and required efforts to move them only added to the comic aspect of this scene. Number 18. While on a road trip, Boston Red Sox Troc Nixon pulled a prank on Kevin Youkilis by using super glue to lock his luggage. After the prank, team personnel had to use force to open it. The amount of work that was put into this prank and the reaction it got out of Youkilis makes it a classic and worthy of its place on this list. Number 17. Sometimes rain delays can be boring, but there are some interesting activities that players do to entertain themselves and the fans. The White Sox Mark Burley was pitching a game against the Toronto Blue Jays when it rained and play was halted, so Burley proceeded to the dugout by sliding on the tarp. He was penalized for that, but the situation offered some much-needed entertainment during what must have been quite a boring wait. Number 16. Bert Blyleven, known for his goofball antics, perfected the hot foot prank. One memorable instance involved a Detroit Tigers pitcher setting Don Kelly's foot on fire during a game at Target Field. The sight of Kelly's surprise and the subsequent laughter from the dugout secured this moment's place on the list.
Don Kelly's foot is on fire. Where's Bert Blyleven at? Oh my goodness! Yeah, you're right. That's something Bert Blyleven certainly would have and has done many times in his career.
Number 15. As the trade deadline approached, White Sox player Gordon Beckham was on edge, fearing he might be traded. Just minutes before the deadline, though, GM Kenny Williams called Beckham into manager Ozzie Guillen's office. Beckham, bracing for the bad news, was relieved and amused when Williams just complimented his at-bat from the previous day. Number 14. Umpires usually face criticism, but they can also partake in lighthearted moments. Former Marine and umpire Laz Diaz engaged in mock sword fighting with a splintered bat with the Giants' bat boy, creating a memorable and fun moment during a game.
Look at Laz Diaz simmer. Bat boy's like, what are you doing? Crazy old man.
Number 13. During Fan Appreciation Day in Toronto, Joe Carter announced that a lucky fan would win a car. Teammate Derek Bell's shock was evident when he realized the car being given away was his. The priceless expression on Bell's face made this prank classic.
Derek Bell's team.
Number 12. Ken Griffey Jr. once owed Mariners manager Lou Piniella a steak dinner. Griffey took the obligation to an extreme, filling Pinella's office with an absurd number of steaks, turning a simple bet into a hilarious and over-the-top spectacle.
Ah, yes, that's a lot of steak.
Number 11. Blue Jays pitchers Roy Halladay and A.J. Burnett pulled off an elaborate prank on teammates Russ Adams and Aaron Hill. They hired a plane to fly over a spring training game with a banner reading, "Russ, will you marry me? Aaron." Followed by a faux wedding reception in the clubhouse and just married decorations on their cars. Number 10. The 2011 Twins had a rough season. They lost 99 games. Maybe it's because they spent too much time fencing with baseball bats instead of practicing. This quirky pastime became a funny anecdote in an otherwise disappointing and forgetful year. Number 9. Red Sox ace Pedro Martinez's antics led to Nomar Garciaparra taking drastic measures to keep him in line. Martinez was once taped to a pole by his teammates, a hilarious and unconventional method of discipline.
That's the important part with Pedro, taping his mouth shut.
And this is the only way you could possibly keep him quiet.
Number 8. Tim Hudson took pranking to the next level by dressing up as the killer from the Scream movies and hiding in former teammate Eddie Perez's hotel room. Perez's genuine terror when he discovered Hudson made for an unforgettable and hilarious moment.
Nice. That's closet.
Number 7. Displeased with the Mets' decision to fire Willie Randolph, fan Martin Silver mailed 5 live chickens to team owner Fred Wilpon. Silver later explained they are chickens for doing this the way they did it. This bizarre protest highlights the extreme lengths fans will go to express their dissatisfaction. Number 6. After beating out a play at first base, Steve Lyons absent-mindedly dropped his pants to brush off the dirt. Realizing his mistake in front of a stadium full of fans, Lyons quickly pulled them back up, but not before creating a moment of sheer embarrassment and humor.
Geez, I don't think that's really the proper place to do that.
Number 5. Here's an innovative prank. Blue Jays pitcher Casey Janssen replaced the cream in a whole jar of Oreo cookies with toothpaste. This detailed prank showed how he went out of his way to pull that prank on his teammates just to make them laugh. Number 4. In a spring training match, one of the tallest pitchers, Randy Johnson, the big unit, hit a bird with his fastball. This bird exploded. It generated an unprecedented and quite peculiar live event in the history of baseball. Number 3. Closers always bring the heat. And though not as infamous as the Dodgers' Maury Willis, Brian Wilson was just as fiery. Following a blown save, he took his anger out on a Gatorade cooler, using a bat in the process. The intensity of his response was shocking, but also kind of funny.
In the Pirates' dugout.
Well, I never think this is the right thing to do.
Number 2. A Cubs fan at Wrigley Field tried to catch a foul ball, but in the process tripped over himself and spilled his $8 beer. The spectacle of a perfectly good beer being spilled was costly and hilarious, and the fan ended up wet and without anything to drink.
Here's your girl there where the beer is going to get spilled on her and... oh.
Number 1. Our number 1 pick is maybe one of the most protracted and best done pranks in MLB history. Phillies manager Charlie Manuel told Kyle Kendrick that he'd been traded to Japan for Kobayashi, the hot dog eating champion. Kendrick is surprised, and the team pulled off the prank to perfection. It makes it the best prank in the history of MLB.
I don't know. Do they have good food in Japan?
You just got punked!
Pulling off a prank like that is impressive, especially when you're about to watch the dumbest plays in MLB history.
Rivera's obstacle course, Canseco's head-assisted home run, and Babe Ruth's ill-fated steal attempt. The over 100-year history of Major League Baseball has seen plenty of dumb moments. This game is as frustrating as it is thrillingly gratifying. Here are the 20 dumbest plays in MLB history. Number 20, Ruben Rivera's base running blunder. Ruben Rivera's base running blunder is legendary. With a clear path to score, he got caught in a bizarre dance around second base, was thrown out at third, then, after the ball bounced away, got nailed at home by a wide margin. In a game where bases are just 90 feet apart, Rivera somehow managed to run half a mile. Rivera's misadventure stands out as uniquely and memorably foolish.
Wilson to right center field. He struck it! He did it! And now Rivera forgot. And everybody said, I don't believe it. Rivera's out, and he is out of the play.
Number 19. Tommy John's triple error. Tommy John had a stellar career, winning 288 games and earning 4 All-Star appearances. He even lent his name to a revolutionary surgery. But on July 27, 1988, everything went wrong for the Brewers. With a runner on first and 1 out, Jeffrey Leonard hit a weak grounder back to John, who botched the pickup for his first error. In his haste, he overthrew Don Mattingly at first for error number 2, and as Jim Gardner tried to score, John intercepted Dave Winfield's throw and missed home plate entirely, completing a trifecta of errors.
They'll only be able to get one if they can get that. Here, John bobbles the ball and should have held it. They're going to try to score again there. And Tommy. Let's see, they're going to let him score.
Yep. Tommy made 2 errors.
Number 18. Jose Canseco's head assist. When Cleveland Indians infielder Carlos Martinez stepped up to the plate against the Rangers, he had no idea Jose Canseco would help him hit a home run. Now, Canseco is typically a good fielder with a strong arm, but somehow he lost this ball in the lights and it bounced off his head, resulting in a homer. His infamous steroid use and dumb plays are really dumb.
High fly ball, right field deep. Canseco back to the track, looking out. It is a home run. It looked like it hit Canseco at the top of the head. It went over the fence. David Hull's laughing out there, so it must hit something funny. Checking the wall and the ball, reaches up. Hits him right in the head. He goes over the top.
Number 17. Max Flack's World Series blunders. Max Flack, usually a reliable outfielder for the 1918 Chicago Cubs, made 2 crucial errors in the 1918 World Series and was picked off twice in the same game, earning him the joke title of GOAT. His obscurity might be linked to the 1919 World Series gambling scandal, with documents suggesting the 1918 Cubs might have thrown the series. Flack's errors remain some of the dumbest in World Series history. Number 16. Ozzie Guillen fooled thrice. Ozzie Guillen is known for his colorful personality and sharp baseball mind. Despite his reputation, he fell victim to the hidden ball trick 3 times. This embarrassing feat occurred twice in 1989 and again in 1991 when Steve Lyons caught him napping at second base.
Look, he throw to first, hitting Guillen back. Guillen's out!
Contend with the master, Dave Bergman. And he's out.
Number 15. Pedro Martinez's perfect game loss. Poor Pedro Martinez was at the center of one of baseball's greatest managerial blunders. Despite 134 pitches and a super slim lead, Red Sox manager Grady Little left Martinez in the game instead of bringing in reliever Allen Embree. The decision led to a Yankees comeback and another chapter in their rivalry. The series also saw Martinez throw 70-year-old Don Zimmer to the ground. It was all really irredeemable. Number 14. Jason Jennings' record-breaking worst start. Jason Jennings set a record for the most runs allowed in a game by a starter without lasting 1 inning, needing only 39 pitches. During this disastrous inning, Mike Cameron and Adrian Gonzalez each hit 2-run homers, and Padres pitcher Tim Stouffer added a bases-loaded single. Even one of the outs Jennings recorded resulted in a run. Number 13. Maury Willis's managerial blunders. Maury Willis's brief stint with the Seattle Mariners might just top the list of managerial blunders. Willis, known for his stellar base stealing with the Dodgers, managed the Mariners for 83 painful days, making a series of embarrassing mistakes. He altered the batter's box size to help with bunting, which was immediately noticed by Billy Martin. He tried to insert an uncontracted friend into the game who was caught without a uniform number. He also chewed out his coaches for not making him look good and excluded the pitching coach from meetings. He walked a weak hitter to face a .317 batter, who then hit a game-winning double. He insisted on pitching to Harold Baines, who hit a 2-run double instead of walking him. The list is endless. Number 12. Yankees' record-setting World Series win. Have you seen the second World Series game from 1936? In an excruciating game for Giants fans, the Yankees set a record for most runs in a World Series game, with Bill Dickey and Tony Lazzeri each driving in 5 runs. The Giants suffered the worst loss in series history, with Hal Schumacher giving up 4 earned runs in 2 innings. 4 relievers couldn't stop the Yankees' onslaught, including 6 runs in the 9th. President Franklin D. Roosevelt was at the game, reportedly appreciating the spectacle. Number 11. Juan Rivera's nightmare at the plate. On June 1st, 2003, Roger Clemens was aiming for his 300th win, but fate, or should we say Juan Rivera, had other plans. The Yankees' 10-9 victory over the Tigers took a mere 17 innings, and it was all because of Rivera. Rivera hit into inning-ending double plays with runners on the corners in the 2nd, 10th, and 15th innings. His win probability added was minus 820, giving the Tigers an 82% chance of winning. Despite that, the Yankees secured the victory, but Clemens' dream was shattered. Number 10. Fred Merkle's infamous base running mistake. Fred Merkle is infamous for failing to run out a base hit with 2 outs, costing the Giants a game. At the time, it was common to leave the field without touching the base, as the rule for force players after potential game-winning runs was not well known. Johnny Evers, aware of the rule, called for the ball to make the appeal. While some consider the Merkle boner a dumb play, Giants manager John McGraw never blamed Merkle, viewing it as an unfortunate mistake rather than a foolish one. Number 9. Maury Willis. Again. Unfortunately, we have to list Maury Willis again because his list of blunders just doesn't end. Did you know about the time he went to remove a pitcher without having anyone warmed up in the bullpen? He also distanced himself from the team by moving to a posh hotel. There's more. He announced a non-roster player for camp after trading him weeks earlier. He made a lineup card with 2 third basemen and no center fielder. He tried to use the same pinch hitter twice in one game. He abandoned a spring training game to catch a plane without explanation. He used an already waived outfielder in a game. And finally, he used a pitcher as a pinch runner, wasting his only left-handed reliever. Talk about bad managing. Number 8. Bubba Harris's 4th of July meltdown. This is one 4th of July Bubba Harris would like to forget. As a 22-year-old rookie with the Philadelphia A's, Harris had a 1.09 ERA over 19 games. But against the Red Sox in 1948, things unraveled. Called in during the 6th inning, Harris got Johnny Pesky out, but fell apart in the 7th. He walked 5, gave up 6 hits, and allowed 14 runs, facing 14 batters. The Fenway crowd gave him an ovation when Connie Mack finally pulled him. Number 7. Bruno Haas's record walks. Bruno Haas had a rough Major League debut on June 23, 1915, in the second game of a doubleheader against the Yankees. Despite Haas's struggles, the A's defense didn't help, committing 7 errors. Haas pitched only 5 1/3 more big league innings, walking 12 more batters, before transitioning to play some outfield and later joining the NFL in 1921. Number 6. The Orioles' historic loss to the Rangers. On August 22, 2007, the Orioles had a 3-0 lead against the Rangers going into the 4th inning, and then everything unraveled. The Rangers somehow scored 5 runs in the 4th inning on a series of bloopers and bleeders against O's pitcher Daniel Cabrera. Texas's offense then went crazy, scoring 9 runs in the 6th, 10 in the 8th, and 6 more in the 9th, finishing with 29 hits and 6 home runs. The Rangers even got a save from Wes Littleton, who pitched the final 3 innings. It was truly historic. Number 5. Ron Wright's disastrous MLB debut. If you thought Bruno Haas had a rough debut, meet Ron Wright. Once a top prospect known for his powerful bat, injuries changed his career path. Wright got his chance with the Mariners because of injuries to Edgar Martinez and Cliff Cirillo. In his debut, Wright struck out in his first at-bat, then hit into a slowly developing triple play in the 2nd. I could see it developing like a thunderstorm, said manager Lou Piniella. In his final at-bat, he hit into a double play. 1 game, 6 outs. Later that week, Wright was sent back to AAA and never returned to the majors. Number 4. Babe Ruth's costly steal attempt. Babe Ruth's presence was so powerful that pitchers altered their approach when he was in the lineup. Despite his impressive records, one critical mistake is often overlooked. In the 1926 World Series, tied at 3 games apiece with the score 3-2, Ruth attempted to steal second with 2 outs and Bob Musil at the plate. Catcher Bob O'Farrell easily threw him out, ending the game and the Yankees season. Ruth's decision to steal in that crucial moment remains one of baseball's all-time dumbest plays. Number 3. Manny being Manny. Manny Ramirez's list of eccentric antics is long, and his legacy is often overshadowed by humorous moments and controversies involving performance enhancers. He once put up this stupid ad on eBay saying, "Hi, I'm Manny Ramirez. I bought this amazing grill for about $4,000 and used it twice, but I never have the time to use it because I'm always on the road. I'd love to sell it. and you'll get an autographed ball signed by me. Enjoy it, Manny Ramirez. Number 2, 1917 World Series error-filled game. The World Series is usually a showcase for top-tier baseball, but Game 5 of the 1917 series between the Giants and White Sox really proved otherwise. A whopping 9 errors were committed. The Giants led 5-2 heading into the bottom of the 7th, aided by 6 errors from Chicago, including 3 by shortstop Buck Weaver. They still failed to put Chicago away. The White Sox scored 3 runs in the 7th, partly due to an error by Giants second baseman Buck Herzog, and 3 more in the 8th. Securing an 8-5 victory. Number 1, Kendry Morales' limp-off. Everyone's dreamt of a walk-off grand slam, and Kendry Morales lived that dream, but there was a catch. In his excitement, Morales tossed his helmet as is tradition and leaped into the air before even touching home. The poor guy landed awkwardly, shattering his leg and putting a painful end to his season.
Getting injured from an invisible tackle must have felt strange. Which reminds me of when a baseball mysteriously disappeared. Trust me, you have to see the weirdest moments in baseball.
Number 18, the disappearing ball. In 1981, at a game between the Oakland Athletics and the Cleveland Indians, the stadium witnessed a curious case of a disappearing ball. Rick Manning hit a routine fly ball, and much to his delight, it would soon disappear off the field. None of the outfielders could even spot the ball as it flew off, much less find it. All this left Manning open to complete a home run. It would later be found that the ball had not disappeared by a magical act, but was rather stuck in a drainage pipe. Number 17, the Bart Mann ball. The Chicago Cubs became rather infamous in the 2000s over their attempts to break out of their rut. It seemed like they were just about to do it too, and reached the World Series during the 2003 National League Championship Series. But here a fan named Steve Bartman interfered with a foul ball, preventing a catch from being made. As luck would have it, this was the only thing that was needed for them to collapse, making the name of the Bartman ball.
Reaching into the stands and couldn't get it. He's livid with a fan.
A curse on the tongue of every Cubs fan in the process. Number 16, the shot heard round the world. One of the more iconic moments on the list. In 1951, it was Bobby Thompson of the New York Giants who secured his team a place in the World Series, all by hitting a 3-run home run off of the Brooklyn Dodgers. This shot heard round the world would make Bobby Thompson a sensation overnight and made it perhaps the most iconic moment of his career. Number 15. Rickey Henderson's base-stealing record. Base-stealing is a spectacle in baseball that goes unmatched in any other sport. And on May 1st, 1991, fans got to witness exactly this spectacle as Rickey Henderson broke Lou Brock's career record. Rickey Henderson had just swiped his 939th base. In celebration, the game was paused, giving a moment to Henderson as he chanted to the crowd, "Today, I'm the greatest of all time."
Rickey goes, a pitch taken, he's going to have it. He does! Rickey Henderson representing number 939.
I'm the greatest of all time.
Number 14, the Disco Demolition Night. Disco and baseball don't mix, as you'll see multiple times on this list. A Chicago White Sox game proved exactly this on July 12, 1979, as a promotion went awry, causing the entire game to be scrapped. The Chicago White Sox encouraged fans to bring disco records to the match to blow up during games. But the records being blown up soon started to cause chaos, and fans started to storm the field, causing the entire game to be called off. Number 13, the Pine Tar Incident. You've heard of teams being accused of cheating, but what about being accused of having too much pine tar? This is exactly what George Brett of the Kansas City Royals was accused of during a 1983 game against the Yankees. After Brett hit a home run, the manager of the Yankees, Billy Martin, challenged the hit due to Brett's bat having excessive pine tar. Surprisingly, the umpire sided with Billy Martin, and George Brett stormed off the field, being denied his home run. Number 12, the Merkle Boner. Ever heard of early celebrations? What about celebrations when the match is still going on and you're going to be needed to run a home run? This is exactly what Fred Merkle did during a game between the New York Giants and the Chicago Cubs in a 1908 game. Merkle was holding first base when his teammates scored a single. Instead of going to second base, he started celebrating, thinking the game was won. This led to the Cubs retrieving the ball and forcing him out by touching second base. This premature celebration would cost the Giants the game and make Merkel's early celebrations a running joke in the daily trades. Number 11. Harvey Haddock's perfection denied. Imagine how hard it is to throw a single perfect inning. Well, perhaps someone should have taught how difficult it was to Harvey Haddock of the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1959 when he threw 12 perfect innings against the Milwaukee Braves. His luck, or rather skill, would run out in the 13th inning, however, as his bid for a perfect game was ended. Regardless, the performance of Haddock still stands as a monumental record. Number 10. The imperfect perfect game. In another botched perfect game, in 2010, Detroit pitcher Armando Galarraga was a single run away from a perfect game. This was when he was hit by a blown call and his hopes shattered. Turns out, baseball doesn't hold its punches, no matter how good your game is going.
Galarraga covers! He's out! No! He's safe!
See right here. Why is he safe?
Number 9, the balk-off. You read that right. Remember the walk-off homer? Epic. The walk-off single? Classic. But the walk-off balk. Now that's something you don't see every day. In 2013, Tampa Bay pitcher Joel Peralta did the unthinkable. With the bases loaded, he got called for a balk, and the winning run scored. Talk about an anticlimactic walk-off. Baseball's rulebook strikes again. Number 8, disco ball. Delays the game. It's 1976 in Chicago's Comiskey Park. There's an intense game going on between the White Sox and the Tigers. All spectators on edge when a loud crash halts the entire game. What could be more interesting to the entire field of spectators than the game? A disco ball had not been rigged properly and fell from the ceiling. Luckily, no one was hurt, as the match was stopped to clear the stadium of any hazards. We told you disco and baseball don't mix. Number 7, the mysterious rabbit ball era. The 1930s marked an exceptional time in baseball history when the run rates of teams hit the roof. This whole phenomenon confounded observers of the time, as they could not point out a single reason why run rates had suddenly gone up by much. Many fingers were pointed to the balls being employed in matches, but even then, no specific reason could be pointed out. From the balls being wound tighter to different materials being used in the making, many culprits have been pointed to for the rabbit ball era. Number 6, the rainout without rain. Rainouts are not an uncommon sight in baseball, and many games have to bear their brunt. But imagine your surprise when you show up to the game. The sun shining down on you as you take your seat, and the game is called off due to rain. The kicker? There's not a single cloud in the sky. This is what happened in 1979 in a game between the White Sox and Tigers, leaving many fans agitated as the umpires declared unplayable field conditions from a wet spot in the stadium. Number 5, the case of the disappearing glove. Gloves are an essential tool in the arsenal of any player, especially for making catches. Yet Ben Oglivie, playing for the Brewers in 1982, proved that these were not needed one bit as his glove flew off his hand while he was running after a fly ball. Oglivie, though, decided to stick to his gun, caught it with his bare hands, and threw it back, showing that the best tool a player has is himself. The umpires let the play stand, and this only added to the legend of Oglivie. Number 4, Randy Johnson versus the Avian Apocalypse. Baseball fields have played the stage to the demolition of many a team, but in 2001, a suicidal avian fellow would join this list too, in the literal sense. When Randy Johnson was practicing for spring training, a bird just decided to fly directly into the ball the moment it left Randy's hands. Suicidal, the collision of the ball and the bird left the entire field in a mess of feathers and bones. Number 3, the infamous 4-base era. Baseball can be a cruel mistress, and sometimes the only way to explain things is with a good old-fashioned yikes. Back in 1912, during the World Series, Fred Snodgrass of the Giants dropped a routine fly ball. No big deal, right? Wrong. The Red Sox runner messed up, thinking Snodgrass caught it and jogged back to first. Snodgrass, seeing the runner wasn't on second, threw the ball there anyway. The result? A 4-base error, a massive swing in momentum, and a victory for the Red Sox. This blunder became a cautionary tale for outfielders everywhere. Always assume the runner thinks you're Superman, even if you are not. Number 2, the rain delay dance-off. Baseball can be the most entertaining game on earth when things are going fast and there's not a moment to breathe. Unfortunately, these moments are often spoiled by the mortal enemy of baseball, rain delays. This is exactly what happened in a match between the Cubs and Nationals. Their solution to this? Entertain the entire stadium with a dance-off and give them their money's worth. at least until the balls started flying again. Number 1, Bill Veeck launches a baseball. Into space? Bill Veeck is the name you think of when you think of weird baseball stories. And this was no different as he decided to launch a ball into space. Well, that's how he built it. Rather, this was just him launching it with fireworks, but props for the imagination.
Still, not all moments in baseball are weird. Some get you emotional. Like when a baseball knocked out a 2-year-old fan. From tragic mistakes that shattered innocent lives to betrayals that led to heartbreaking goodbyes. These are the most emotional moments in MLB history. And first, Albert Almora Jr. In May 2019, at Minute Maid Park, the Cubs were battling the Astros, and Albert Almora Jr. stepped up to the plate. He swung, and the sound of the bat hitting the ball echoed through the stadium. It's the kind of moment fans love, but this time, it's different. Watch as it unfolds. It's heartbreaking. The ball veers into the stands, a 2-year-old girl in its path. It strikes her in the head. Shock moves through the crowd. Almora freezes, then collapses to his knees. His hands squeeze his face as if trying to block out the reality of what just happened. He's shaking, inconsolable. In the dugout, he breaks down, crying on a security guard's shoulder, his grief laid plain for everyone to see. Look at the emotion on his face. This is something you'll never forget. The little girl is rushed to the hospital. Doctors delivered devastating news. The impact caused permanent brain damage. Her young life is changed forever. The fallout is immediate. Across the country, people demand better protection for fans. Major League Baseball responds, extending protective netting in stadiums. Almora speaks publicly, his voice breaking, saying, "Right now, I'm just praying. And yeah, I'm speechless. I'm at a loss of words." Man, this moment hit harder than any baseball ever could. It left the world stunned and reminded everyone how a single moment can change lives forever. But for every heartbreaking moment like this, there are stories where the weight of grief transforms into enduring love and tribute. Oscar Taveras and Yordano Ventura. Oscar Taveras was living the dream. At just 22 years old, he was one of baseball's brightest young stars, breaking out as a top prospect for the St. Louis Cardinals. To celebrate his rising fame, he got himself a red Camaro, customized with flashy rims to reflect his team's colors. Oscar's confidence on the field matched the boldness of his car. It wasn't just a ride, it symbolized the momentum he was building, both in life and in his career. But on a day that should have been ordinary, everything changed. While speeding down the road in the Dominican Republic, Oscar lost control of the car. The crash was devastating. When the news broke, everyone was shocked. St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Oscar Taveras has died in a car crash. His girlfriend was also killed. The wreckage was beyond belief. The Camaro was completely destroyed, twisted into an unrecognizable heap. There was no chance of survival. In one instant, a life full of promise was gone. Thousands gathered for his funeral, mourning not just a baseball player, but a son, a friend, and a hero. Across the league, players paid their respects, but no one felt the loss as deeply as Yordano Ventura, one of Oscar's closest friends. Yordano paid tribute in the most heartfelt way. During a World Series game, he pitched with Oscar's initials that said RIP OT, number 18 on his cap. A silent but powerful gesture that reminded everyone watching of his friend's enduring spirit. It was unforgettable, showing the deep bond they shared. But then came a mysterious twist. Despite the loss of his friend, Yordano didn't take the tragedy as a cautionary tale. He designed a custom car of his own, complete with personalized rims, an impressive sound system, and an eye-catching interior. It was bold, it was flashy, and it was unmistakably his. One night, Yordano's life took a tragic turn. Driving that very car, he lost control. His Jeep flipped into a ditch. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was thrown from the vehicle. What followed was even more chilling. People found him lying injured, but instead of helping, they robbed him. Minutes later, Yordano succumbed to his injuries. Two promising careers, two young stars gone in eerily similar ways. Yordano's funeral brought another wave of heartbreak. For his hometown, he wasn't just a player. He was a source of pride and hope. Fans came out in droves, wearing his jersey and honoring his memory in every way they could. A former teammate captured his legacy perfectly. Every time he took the mound, he wasn't just pitching for himself. He was pitching for his entire community. The Royals honored him with a patch on their jerseys, a simple yet powerful way to keep his spirit alive. Sometimes life imitates tragedy in ways we can't explain. Stories like Oscar's and Giordano's leave us wondering what could have been. But not all moments in baseball come from a place of loss. Some come from the strength to move forward, just like Prince Fielder. A name that once defined power in Major League Baseball, he was unstoppable. For years, he crushed home runs with a strong swing that looked effortless. During his reign, Prince played 547 consecutive games, a streak lasting nearly 3 seasons. But then, the one opponent he couldn't defeat showed up: his own body. Prince's swing was a masterpiece. He could turn any pitch into a walk-off homer, sending the ball flying as fans cheered. He broke records, won home run derbies, and earned all-star titles. He even helped lead his team to a World Series, representing everything great about baseball. But all of that changed in an instant. Reports emerged that Prince was battling a herniated disc in his neck. At first, it seemed like a short break would fix it, but when doctors took a closer look, the news was far worse. His spine had shifted from years of powerful swings, pinching nerves and leaving his arms cool and weak. His strength had become his downfall, and it was gut-wrenching to watch. Surgery became unavoidable. Fans hoped he'd bounce back, and Prince himself promised to return stronger. But when he came back to the field, it was clear things weren't the same. His swing lacked strength, and the pain was getting worse. The next impact was devastating. Another spinal surgery was needed, and after the surgery, he was faced with the decision no athlete ever wants to make. He could keep playing and risk a lifetime of constant pain, or he could step away and focus on his health. On August 10, 2016, in Arlington, Texas, Prince held an emotional press conference announcing the end of his career. "The doctors told me I can't play baseball anymore," he said, his voice breaking. Standing beside him were his sons, holding his hands tightly as if to keep him grounded in this heart-shattering moment. Through the tears, he shared how his boys helped him cope. At home, they'd just say, "Dad, come play video games," like nothing had changed. His gratitude poured out as he thanked his teammates, coaches, and especially his wife, who had been his constant support. "She always made me feel like I was still the same person, no matter what," he said, his words filled with raw emotion. Even through the pain, Prince found his way forward. Retirement closed the door on a legendary career, but it opened another. He poured his energy into his family and discovered a love for cooking, finding new joy beyond the game he had sacrificed so much for. Man, going from crushing homers to having your whole world upside down. But not every emotional moment is about losing it all. Some are about fighting to hold on to what matters most. Wilmer Flores. Look at this moment. Crowds are on their feet, shouting and clapping, but it's not about a home run or a game-saving play. The energy is different, a wave of emotion, increasing every second. Wilmer Flores steps up to the plate, gripping his bat, trying to stay locked in. But the buzz in the stadium isn't about the score. It's about him. Rumors are swirling that Wilmer, a player who had been with the Mets since he was 16, has been traded. And here's the wild part. Wilmer doesn't even know. Now the cheers feel heavier. His eyes start to water, and his face is a mix of confusion and heartbreak. By the time the inning ends, Wilmer is visibly shaken, wiping tears as he heads to the dugout. He's not just playing a game. He's trying to hold it together while his world shifts around him. Trades are a part of baseball. They happen all the time, but this hits different. Wilmer wasn't just losing a team. He was losing his home and family. New York was all he'd known since he was a teenager, and yet, there he was, still playing. Fans were baffled. How is someone still in the game when rumors say he's already gone? It didn't add up. The Mets front office, watching it all unfold, started to reconsider. They saw tears, the pride, the love Wilmer had for the team and the city. This wasn't just business anymore. It was personal. Then came change. The trade had been canceled. Wilmer Flores wasn't going anywhere. The very next game, Wilmer was back at the plate. The crowd held their breath, and the weight of the past 24 hours still hung in the air. And then, Flores swings. Deep to left center field. Back it goes! It's out of here! The stadium blasted. The man who was almost traded hit a walk-off home run, giving New York the greatest moment of redemption. Fans shouted louder than they had in years, celebrating not just the win, but everything Wilmer stood for. After the game, Wilmer spoke through a mix of tears and gratitude. "I love being in New York. The support I get here is unbelievable." This wasn't just about baseball. It was about loyalty, heart, and the deep bonds between players and fans. Wilmer Flores reminded everyone that this game is more than stats and contracts. His tears, his resilience, and that unforgettable home run showed why baseball is more than just a sport. For the Mets, it was a lesson in understanding the human side of the game. And then there's Aaron Judge, a player whose power isn't just in his bat, but in the way he brings people together. Aaron Judge home run ball. It's another moment in baseball. Watch Aaron Judge at the plate. The crowd is lively. Every eye set on the star that has dominated all season. The pitcher winds up, releases the pitch, and Judge swings with the kind of power that echoes through the park. Drilled to left field, deep into the second deck. The ball rockets off his bat, flying into the stands like a missile. The crowd bursts as fans run, trying to catch the home run ball. A Blue Jays fan catches it cleanly, holding it high above his head. The highest remembrance from one of the game's biggest stars. But then, something way bigger than the game happened. Just a few seats away, a young boy in an Aaron Judge jersey looking at all that just played out. His face expresses pure awe, a hint of hope, and a quiet wish that that ball could be his. And then, the moment that changes everything. The Blue Jays fan looks at the boy, sees the spark in his eyes, and without delay, hands him the ball. Just like that, the boy freezes, completely shocked. For a second, the realization hits, and tears pour down his face. He takes the ball close, overwhelmed by the kindness of a stranger and the once-in-a-lifetime moment now in his hands. Cameras zoom in, capturing the raw emotion, and the crowd shouts, not for the home run, but for the humanity on display. Man, this is the magic of baseball. The fan smiles, soaking in the boy's happiness as the crowd around them cheers. Later, Aaron Judge hears about what happened. His reaction says it all. "Man, that's passion right there," he says with a smile. "You gotta respect the fan who caught the ball and gave it to the kid." That's what this game is about. It's bigger than teams. It's about moments like this. For the young boy, that ball became a symbol of kindness, a connection to his hero, and a memory he'll carry forever. For the Blue Jays fan, it wasn't just about the game. It was a moment that showed the true heart of baseball, where compassion matters more than the score. But baseball isn't always about joy and magic. Sometimes it's about heartbreak, and even the most cherished bonds can be tested and broken. Freddie Freeman. Look at Freddie Freeman, who was living the dream. An MVP, a World Series champion, and the heartbeat of the Atlanta Braves. For over a decade, he wasn't only the face of the team, he was the Braves. He led them to their first championship in 26 years and became a symbol of everything fans loved about the game. But under the surface, a betrayal was brewing, one that changed everything. Freddie wasn't just an ordinary player in Atlanta. Signed at 17, he grew up with the team, spending nearly half his life there. The fans adored him, and he made it clear how much he loved them back. In a heartfelt interview, he left no doubt about where he wanted to be. "This is the Atlanta Braves. I've been here since I was 17 years old. Almost half my life has been in this organization. Everyone knows where my heart is," he says. The fans rallied behind him, urging the Braves to lock in their MVP. Freddie was family. To them, letting him go wasn't even an option. But then, everything took a shocking turn. News broke that Freddie had signed a $162 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It shocked the baseball world. Why would he leave the team he called home? Even Freddie seemed out of place during his Dodgers introduction, smiling for the cameras. But it wasn't hard to tell something didn't feel right. Behind that smile, there was a devastating truth no one saw coming. Here's where the betrayal comes to light. Freddie had no idea the Braves wanted him back. They'd offered him a $135 million deal that he would have accepted in a heartbeat, but he never saw that offer. His agency, Excel Sports Management, kept it from him. Why? Because they wanted the Dodgers deal. A bigger contract meant a bigger commission for them. Freddie's loyalty and love for the Braves didn't matter to them. Only the money did. and they were willing to betray their own client to get it. When Freddie discovered the truth, man, he was angry. He fired the agency on the spot, but the damage was done. The Dodgers deal was signed. Freddie Freeman would never wear a Braves jersey again. Months later, Freddie returned to Atlanta as a Dodger, but the second he stepped onto the field, it was clear his heart had never left. The Braves honored him with his World Series championship ring. Standing at home plate, Freddie was overwhelmed. The crowd assembled in a standing ovation, chanting his name over and over. Tears rolled down his face. He could barely find the words. Every sort of emotion, he said through the tears. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the support you've shown me. I know I'm wearing a different uniform now, but I still love each and every one of you. Freddie's goodbye wasn't of his choosing. It was something that was taken from him that he thought would last forever. However, this next moment didn't end with a standing ovation. It was a sad reminder of just how breakable life can be. Roy Halladay's perfect game and tragic death. Roy Halladay was a man driven by passion. On the field, he was untouchable. A 2-time Cy Young winner and an 8-time All-Star. Off the field, he found joy in something completely different: flying. For Roy, being in the air wasn't just a hobby, it was freedom. But what happened on November 7th, 2017 was far from freedom. Roy took his Icon A5 aircraft for a flight over the Gulf of Mexico. The plane was smart, fast, and built for adventure, which matched Roy's personality perfectly. What should have been another joy-filled ride turned into heartbreak. Roy's plane crashed into the water, leaving the sports world stunned. Investigators later revealed he had been performing low-altitude, high-speed tricks over the waves, moves considered risky even for experienced pilots. At just 40 years old, baseball had lost one of its brightest stars. The details of the crash made the loss even harder to process. The report showed Roy died from blunt force trauma and drowning. But what shocked everyone was the toxicology report. It showed a dangerous mix of drugs in his system, amphetamines at levels 10 times the therapeutic range, along with morphine, antidepressants, and a sleep aid. The questions were unavoidable. Was it a moment of poor judgment or the weight of something more deep? Roy had reached the peak of his career, but seemed to be facing battles no one fully understood. Whether it was an accident or a tragic reflection of deeper struggles, the result was the same. The baseball world lost one of its greatest, and his family lost someone irreplaceable. The tributes poured in, showing just how much Roy meant to the game. Stadiums across the league held moments of silence. Teammates and friends shared stories of his unmatched determination, charity, and love for his family. 2 years later, in 2019, the Hall of Fame inducted him posthumously, firming his place among baseball's legends. Roy's wife, Brandy, spoke with deep emotion about the man behind the stats. He was so much more than a baseball player. He was a husband, a father, and a man who gave everything he had in everything he did. Her words reflected the depth of their loss and the humanity behind his larger-than-life image. But his is a reminder of how fleeting life can be, and it wasn't the only time a baseball player's love for flying ended in heartbreak. Corey Lidle's tragic passing. This moment stands as one of baseball's most devastating stories. Corey Lidle was a steady and respected pitcher who gave 9 solid years to the majors. He played for teams like the Oakland Athletics, Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Yankees, bringing professionalism and heart to the game every step of the way. Beyond baseball, Corey had the same passion as Roy Halladay. For him, the skies weren't just a hobby, they were a place of peace, an escape from the intensity of the mound. October 11, 2006, just days after the Yankees were knocked out of the playoffs, Corey piloted his small, fixed-wing Cirrus SR-20 over New York City. His plane accidentally entered restricted airspace. As Corey and his flight instructor tried to correct their path, the aircraft crashed into the 20th floor of a 50-story condominium on East 72nd Street overlooking the East River. The aftermath was a mess. Flames consumed part of the building as debris scattered across the streets below. Corey and his instructor lost their lives on the impact. 26 others were injured in the surrounding area. The scene left witnesses frozen in disbelief. One onlooker recalled, "I stood at the fountain in front of my building, staring at the flames and watching huge pieces of debris crash to the ground. It was unreal." Fans and players alike struggled to make sense of the sudden loss. Yankees captain Derek Jeter captured the shared sorrow, saying, "It's just a reminder of how precious life is." For Corey's friends and family, the pain was unimaginable. MLB moments that bring love and joy can also be filled with emotions. Moments like this remind us how life can be unpredictable. It's wild. It makes you laugh. It makes you cry. Still, a player getting betrayed is crazy, but it's nothing compared to an eagle landing on a baseball player's head or a fan throwing pizza at a player. Click on the next video to see 1 in a million MLB moments.